Chapter 179. While the drizzle was still falling, a large group of fire wolf mercenaries had already carried their weapons and led their horses out of Xian Mist Town. This also meant that Lin Muyu's persuasion operation this time had been a success. Simply by explaining the pros and cons of the situation, Lin Muyu had taken down the remaining 2,000 people of Wind Creek Town without shedding any blood. Lin Muyu put on her straw raincoat again and rode a horse side by side with Fengxi. Behind them, the mercenaries were either walking or pulling carts. The carts stored the mercenary group's assets. The Flame Wolf mercenary group was really poor. They even brought tables and chairs with them. Lin Muyu didn't say much. It was a good thing to run a household. I heard that the captain is also a commoner? Fengxi pulled his cloak to cover his face and said with a smile. This young captain of the Flame Wolf mercenary group now respected and feared Lin Muyu at the same time. So he was very careful when he spoke. Yes. Lin Muyu nodded and said with a smile. But Sir Fengxi, you don't need to worry. I'm different from those people in the capital. In my eyes, commoners and nobles are the same. Everyone is born equal. Fengxi couldn't help but be taken aback. This subordinate has heard that Milord saved His Majesty and Princess Qin Yin at Deer Cry Park, and was even adopted by His Majesty as his godson. With Milord's current status, why do you still want to participate in this mercenary competition? That status is given by others. If others want to take it away, they can take it away at any time. Lin Muyu shook her arm, sprinkling the rain on the mountain road. Fengxi smiled. Sir, can our Longdan army camp really be honorable and fair? Lin Muyu turned to look at him with a frightening light in her eyes. She said with certainty, you have to ask yourself. Fengxi, if you have the word chivalry in your heart, our Longdan army camp will certainly be different. If every mercenary has the word chivalry in their heart, Longdan army camp will naturally not be reduced to those mercenary groups that kill innocent people. Yes. Fengxi nodded heavily, his eyes shining. Sir, I understand. Help me pick out those bloodthirsty mercenaries from the Flame Wolves mercenary group who kill for pleasure. Give them gold coins when we return to Dragon Rocky Mountain and let them make a living on their own. The Longdan army camp doesn't need anyone who has killed innocent people. Yes, this subordinate will do as you say. They arrived at Dragon Rocky Mountain at noon. Luo Yu had already received the news and led a group of people down the mountain to welcome them. Fengxi led everyone up the mountain with a dignified demeanor. His gaze landed on Luo Jian and he couldn't help but sneer. Vice Commander Luo Jian seems to be enjoying himself. Have you already put on the Longdan army camp's badge? Luo Jian's face turned pale. Leader, I was also forced to do this. Really? Fengxi's gaze was cold. He didn't say anything else and urged his horse to leave. Lin Muyu and Luo Yu looked at each other and smiled. It seemed that the integration of the Longdan army camp and the Flame Wolves mercenary group was also a big problem. If it wasn't handled well, they were afraid that there would be internal strife before the Flame Dragons mercenary group even attacked. In the afternoon they had their meal as usual. The food in the Longdan army camp was very simple, no different from that in the army. This was something that Lin Muyu paid special attention to. Every meal was basically a few large flatbreads and a bowl of sparse meat soup. They would eat meat once every 3 days from top to bottom. Even the leader Lin Muyu held a bowl of meat soup and sat with Luo Yu chewing on the flatbreads. Fengxi carried the meat soup and sat beside Lin Muyu. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Sir, we eat this every day? Didn't you say that the Longdan army camp doesn't lack money? Why is the food so bad? Lin Muyu also smiled. Fengxi, this is the standard of food for the royal army in Yanlan City. So our Longdan army camp will also use this standard. After all, our Longdan army camp isn't a mercenary group that plunder for a living. If we feed the soldiers' mouths, I'm afraid we won't be able to feed them in the future. Also, the harder it is, the stronger they will be in the future. Yes. A look of respect appeared on Fengxi's face. He took a sip of the meat soup and smiled. Hearing what Sir said, this meat soup seems to have become fresh and delicious. Lin Muyu and Luo Yu both laughed. Fengxi ate and asked, Luo Yu, what realm is your cultivation? Level 60 Heaven Realm. Luo Yu put down the flatbreads and smiled. Heaven Realm. Fengxi's expression darkened and he said with a desolate expression, Sir Luo Yu is a Heaven Realm elite, but she is only a vice commander in the Longdan army camp. Fengxi, I am only a second Heaven Realm War Elder. Sigh, I'm not worthy of being a vice commander. Luo Yu couldn't help but laugh. She patted his shoulder and said, Brother Fengxi, don't be so depressed. You can slowly improve your strength through cultivation. You can be a vice commander because of your prestige. If you weren't here at Dragon Rocky Mountain, do you think these 2,000 Fire Wolves mercenaries would obediently stay here and listen to our orders? Lin Muyu also smiled and said, Luo Yu is right. In the future the Longdan army camp will need your help, Fengxi. Fengxi put down the bowl of soup and cupped his fists with a burning gaze. This subordinate is willing to work for Sir. All right, let's choose the people who will stay in the afternoon. Yes. After lunch, Fengxi chose one by one. From the 1,900+ people in the Fire Wolves mercenary group, he chose 1,442 people to stay. The rest were each given 20 Jinying coins as a settlement fee and were allowed to leave on their own. Most of these people had killed innocent people and many of their hands were already stained with blood. Lin Muyu wasn't willing to let these people stay in the Longdan army camp. Once a person's murderous nature was cultivated, they would probably lose their humanity. On the other hand, Fengxi was under a great deal of pressure. Many of these people were mercenaries who had followed him for many years. Although they had killed people like flies, they were still brothers. Many of them cried when they left. Just like that, the 1,442 new blood and the original 742 people joined the Longdan army camp. After absorbing the 2,000+ people in the Fire Wolves mercenary group, the Longdan army camp now had 2,458 people. This number could already be considered a very impressive force. As long as Luo Yu and Fengxi trained them over time, the combat strength of the Longdan army camp would definitely be renewed. In the afternoon, a huge signboard slowly rose up and was hung in the main hall that served as the headquarters of the army. This hall was originally remodeled from the main altar of the House of Chivalry. All the luxurious furnishings that were originally set up inside were all removed and replaced with a structure similar to that of the army's central military tent. There were many everlasting lamps and 10 guards. The signboard glowed with a dazzling luster under the sunlight, reflecting the 3 large words, Jidu Hall. This was the name that Luo Yu came up with. Jidu, it just happened to reflect the ancient military position of China, Jidu. It represented a kind of authority to control the army. At the same time, the Jidu Hall also had a meaning of control. Sir, this is the classification of the military ranks in the Longdan army camp that I have thought of. Luo Yu handed over a scroll. On it, it listed the military ranks that he had set up for the Longdan army camp. It was very detailed. Level 1, Regiment Commander, Highest Commander. Level 2, Deputy Regiment Commander, Secondary Commander. The 3rd level Dragon Commander has the power to command 1,000 men. Level 4, Tiger Commander, commanding 500 people. Level 5, Wolf Commander, commanding 100 people. Level 6, Sergeant, commanding 10 people. Level 7, Corporal, commanding 5 people. Level 8, Elite Soldier. Level 9, by Soldier. After Lin Muyu finished reading, she nodded approvingly. The classification is very detailed. How exactly should we implement it? Luo Yu cupped his fists and smiled. Using contributions to promote one's military rank, with clear rewards and punishments to boost morale. Currently there are only 2 Dragon Commander positions. Let me and Sir Fengxi take up the positions. Once there are other generals with outstanding contributions, the 2 of us will just give up our positions. All the Tiger Commander and Wolf Commander positions will temporarily be vacant. Alright, let's do that. Lin Muyu nodded in agreement. Fengxi looked at Luo Yu respectfully and said, Sir Luo Yu was born a commoner, but you seem to be so familiar with the army's structure. You can even be called a good general. I wonder, where did you learn so much? Luo Yu blushed and said respectfully, Actually, I won't hide it from the 2 of you. Although I was born a commoner, it was only because my family had declined. Luo Yu's ancestor was ranked 2nd in Soaring Clouds Pavilion. Soaring Clouds Pavilion? Fengxi was shocked. Could it be that Sir Luo Yu's ancestor was Luo Tonghai, ranked 2nd in Soaring Clouds Pavilion's 26 meritorious subjects? Luo Yu nodded lightly and said, It's a pity that none of us descendants can become great people. We have brought shame to our ancestors' name. Speaking of which, it's really embarrassing. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. It's all right. There are many opportunities to make contributions in this life. Luo Yu's eyes were burning as he looked at Lin Muyu and said, Sir Luo Yu would like to ask you a question. Go ahead. Sir, will our Longdan army camp continue to exist as mercenaries, or will we one day fight for the Qin Empire? Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, if the world really needs us to stand up for ourselves, then the Longdan army camp will definitely rush to the battlefield. This is also the reason why I established the Longdan army camp. Don't worry, Luo Yu. As long as you are willing to work hard, you will definitely have the opportunity to make contributions to the Qin Empire. You can even become a famous general like your ancestor. Luo Yu's body trembled slightly. His eyes were filled with fanaticism as he cupped his fists excitedly and said, Subordinate Luo Yu swears to follow sir until death. Lin Muyu nodded in satisfaction. At this moment he finally understood the rules of this world and gradually learned how to manage people. What Luo Yu needed was a chance to make contributions. He wanted to become a famous general, while Fengxi needed a strong backing and someone to point him in the right direction. Now that Lin Muyu had provided them with what they needed the most, the two of them would naturally repay him with their lives. The discussion continued until late at night when Luo Yu reminded him, My lord, we're about to purchase 2,000 horses from the western regions. This subordinate has already arranged for the horses to be delivered to Dragon Rocky Mountain in about 7 days. Each horse costs 80 Jin coins, so that's a total of 160,000 Jin coins. Including the saddles, horseshoes, fodder, etc., I'm afraid that we won't be able to afford them without 200,000 Jin coins. Understood. Lin Muyu opened his Cosmo sack and took out another 300 diamond coins. He handed them all to Luo Yu. His heart ached. There were only 60 diamond coins left in the sack. He felt extremely poor. Raising a powerful mobile army was indeed not something an ordinary person could afford. However, Lin Muyu thought of the 100 bottles of Dream of Extreme Peaks that were auctioned in the Imperial Chamber of Commerce. They had not received the money yet, so it should be enough. Chapter 180. The next day the warm sunlight shone on Lanyan City, making the white bricks of the city look even whiter. Lin Muyu led the horse and entered the imperial merchant firm with a weary face. Big brother Yu. Jin Xiaotong's voice seemed to have a certain appeal. Although Lin Muyu knew that this was her business strategy, he had unconsciously treated Jin Xiaotong as a younger sister. He shook his head and laughed at himself. He was 2F** king immersed in his role. Here the average transaction price of 100 bottles of Dream of the Zenith last time was 7,700 Jin coins, so we got a total of 770,000 Jin coins. After deducting the 10% handling fee, we need to pay you a total of 700,000 Jin coins. Big brother, you do the math. There are a total of 700 diamond coins here, all prepared for you. Looking at the large pile of diamond coins glistening under the light, Lin Muyu secretly praised. The imperial merchant firm was indeed not short of money. This was the economic center of Lanyan City. From high-end weapons and medicine to rice and cloth that were close to the people's livelihood, the imperial merchant firm alone supported almost half of Lanyan City's economy. It was no wonder that Jin Xiaotong's status in Lanyan City was so outstanding that she felt like she could summon wind and rain. However, this beautiful girl knew how to hide her strength and bide her time. She did not offend anyone and only focused on business operations. Stuffing piles of diamond coins into the Qianquan bag, Lin Muyu's heart was filled with happiness. Jin Xiaotong tilted her head and watched him collect the money. Suddenly, her eyes fell on the dragon spirit sword on his back. She couldn't help but be stunned. She opened her small mouth and said, Big brother you recast a weapon? Yes. What's the name of this sword? The dragon spirit sword. It was forged from that stubborn stone of yours and fused with the 10,000-year dragon snake soul. It looks so powerful. Jin Xiaotong was in high spirits and said with a smile, That? Big brother you, can you let Xiaotong see the sharpness of this dragon spirit sword? I can feel that. This sword must be very sharp, right? Well, how do you want to see it? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Jin Xiaotong thought for a moment, then smiled and said, Our Imperial Chamber of Commerce's shield shop has recently received a batch of shields with excellent defense. How about this? I'll have someone send over a shield and you can try it out. Alright. Jin Xiaotong immediately opened the door and said to the people outside, Uncle Wang, have the owner of the shield shop deliver the fire armor shield that he is most proud of. Yesterday I heard him brag that this shield is the hardest thing in the world. No weapon can harm it, and even the Emperor's Desolation sword can't cut it. Alright, first young miss, please wait a moment. Not long after, a burly man walked in with a giant shield that had flames lingering around it. This burly man was the owner of the shield shop. He only wore a thin shirt in the middle of winter and his chest hair was exposed. He looked very domineering and could be said to be the overlord of the shop owners. He casually walked into the back hall and placed the shield on the ground with a dang sound. He smiled and said, "Miss Tang, what's wrong? What kind of weapon did you find to break my fire armor shield? Ah, don't say I didn't warn you. If you can't cut it, I won't be responsible if your weapon breaks." Jin Xiaotang smiled slightly and said, "Uncle Zhou, what's the point of just testing the shield? Why don't we make a bet?" "Bet? Alright, Miss Xiaotang, what do you want to bet?" Jin Xiaotang blinked and said, "How about this? If I can cut the fire armor shield, I'll increase my share of the profits from the sale of your shields from 10% to 20%. The owner's eyes were immediately filled with passion. "What if I can't cut it?" Jin Xiaotang covered her mouth and laughed. "If you can't cut it, I won't take a single copper coin from your shop's rent in the future. How about it?" The owner was very happy and said with the shield in his hand, "Alright, it's a deal." At the side, Lin Muyu said, Can I add a bargaining chip?" "What bargaining chip?" "If I can cut this fire armor shield, shopkeeper Zhou will give me 200 superior grade shields. How about it?" Shopkeeper Zhou raised his thick eyebrows. "Hey, as you say. I have confidence in my shields." "Alright, please hold the shield well. Be careful, don't hurt yourself." "Don't worry, come on." Shopkeeper Zhou shouted in a low voice. His sea of energy sank and he stood there with the shield in his hand. He actually gave off the feeling of an immovable mountain. Lin Muyu couldn't help but sigh. The imperial capital was indeed full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. This small shop owner actually had the cultivation of the second level of the earth realm. Clang! The dragon's spirit sword was unsheathed and the blade shone brightly. Lin Muyu held the sword with one hand and battle energy surged into it. In an instant the dragon spirit sword shone brightly, and there was actually a dragon snake circling around the sword. "Saint Beast Soul." Jin Xiaotang's mouth fell open and she said, "It really is a saint-grade soul. Hee, Uncle Zhou, you have to be careful." Lin Muyu leaped forward and her body spun in the air. She swung the sword with one hand, and the dragon spirit sword drew a beautiful arc in the air. With overwhelming battle energy, it directly landed on the fire armor shield. Gotcha! The sound was very clear. The sword swept past and in the next moment Lin Muyu had already sheathed the sword. Clang! It was as if the dragon spirit sword had never been unsheathed. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, shopkeeper Zhou stood there in a daze. He was almost scared out of his wits by Lin Muyu's sudden increase in power. That was a heavenly realm expert. Looking down, the fire armor shield that he was so proud of had already been broken in half. Lin Muyu's control of her strength was perfect. The battle energy only split the shield, but it did not extend out to cut shopkeeper Zhou's arm. Otherwise, with the sharpness of the dragon spirit sword, perhaps shopkeeper Zhou's body would have been cut in half. No, with the angle that Lin Muyu had slashed at, shopkeeper Zhou would have been cut into 5 pieces. How is this possible? Looking at the scattered fire armor shield on the ground, shopkeeper Zhou's face was full of disbelief. This is a shield forged from the black turtle fire armor for 10,000 years. How could it be cut in half? Jin Xiaotang patted his shoulder and said with a smile, "Uncle Zhou, if you agree to a bet, you must accept your loss." Shopkeeper Zhou nodded. "Of course, but sir, can you let me take a look at your sword?" Lin Muyu crossed her arms in front of her chest and smiled as she shook her head. "No, it's just a slightly sharp blade." He understood the principle of not showing off one's wealth. In fact, the reason why he was willing to make the bet was to help Jin Xiaotang. Otherwise, he would not have been willing to let the dragon spirit sword out of its sheath so easily. After all, the more people knew about this sword, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Fine, shopkeeper Zhou said dejectedly. "Sir, please come with me. I will fulfill my promise and give you 200 excellent quality shields. What do you want these shields for?" "Just send them directly to the Eagle Nest camp." "Okay." Shopkeeper Zhou's eyes lit up and he said, "Sir, could you be the new commander of the Eagle Nest camp, Lin Muyu?" The Lin Muyu who saved Her Highness? Yes. Ha, I see. Then I did not give these 200 shields to the wrong person. Ah, thank you very much. You're welcome. It is the store's honor to be able to send these shields to the royal guards. At night, the 200 shields were sent to the Eagle Nest camp directly into the military warehouse, and then distributed to those who needed them. As for Lin Muyu, the idol commander, he finally returned to the Eagle Nest camp. Fortunately, he had Wei Chou and Xiao Sang, these two capable men, to help him take care of the Eagle Nest camp. Otherwise, he would have been in a terrible situation. Sir. Wei Chou stood at the side, cupped his fists and said, "After the winter sacrifice ceremony, the Zetian Palace's new mission has been sent to the Eagle Nest camp. The mission this time is relatively simple. We need to hunt 30 cloud deer and 500 swift wolf skins in the dragon-seeking forest within a month. In addition, His Majesty wants to customize new battle robes for the commander-level generals stationed at the border. So we need 100 snow fox skins. Yesterday, I led 30 people to the edge of the dragon-seeking forest and have already hunted 40 snow foxes." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. "So efficient?" Xiao Sang joked. "Sir Wei Chou's archery skills are becoming more and more exquisite. Now it can be said that he can shoot a willow leaf 100 steps away. And with the demon-devouring bow that the commander rewarded him with, killing those snow foxes is like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife." Wei Chou smiled awkwardly. "Sir Xiao Sang, you flatter me. This is the result of the Eagle Nest camp soldiers working together." As he spoke, Wei Chou suddenly thought of something and said, "Sir, the triennial sword duel tournament will be held in 5 days. There are less than 3 days until the registration period. Has Sir signed up? I heard that Feng Jixing, Qin Lei and the others have all signed up." "Oh, the sword duel tournament is finally starting?" Lin Muyu grinned and said with a smile, "All right, where can I sign up?" The sword duel tournament is directly organized by the Zetian Temple, so you can directly sign up with the Zetian Temple's official. It is said that the registration fee is very expensive, 100 Jinin coins. Ordinary people can't afford it, and after signing up, you must be selected by the Ministry of War before you can participate. I'm afraid that it will be very difficult for commoners to have the opportunity to participate. Is that so? Lin Muyu frowned and said, "What are the benefits of winning the sword duel tournament?" "You can obtain the Gilded Dragon Talisman, bestowed by His Majesty. This Gilded Dragon Talisman is a symbol of military power that is higher than the Tiger Talisman. Those who possess the Gilded Dragon Talisman can directly mobilize an army of less than 10,000 soldiers in any province within the imperial capital, but after the operation, they must report back to the Zetian Temple. I believe that the Gilded Dragon Talisman is more of a symbol." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Then there must be a lot of people participating in the sword duel tournament?" "The noble young masters of Lanyan City and those with extraordinary cultivation will all participate. And there are even quite a number of people who have traveled thousands of miles from the other 11 provinces. For many of the declining noble families, seizing the Gilded Dragon Talisman will be an opportunity for their families to rise again. Will Xiangyu participate?" Lin Muyu said indifferently, "If Xiangyu participates, I'm afraid that others won't have the chance." Wei Chou smiled and said, "Don't worry about this, madam. Commander Xiangyu will not participate." "Why?" "Because the age limit for the sword duel tournament is 35 years old and below, and Commander Xiangyu is already 37 years old." "All right, then it's settled." Lin Muyu pressed the table and said with a smile, "Wei Chou, follow me to the Zetian Temple." "Yes." Chapter 181. In the Zetian Hall, the palace administrator Ko Sun wore a high crown on his head and his hands hung low in front of his chest. He looked at the group of eagle guards outside with an extremely respectful expression and said with a smile, "May I ask which lord wishes to participate in the sword duel assembly?" "Me." Lin Muyu stepped forward, but Wei Chou and the others didn't participate. If they couldn't get first place, it would be a waste of the 100 Jinin coins. Ko Sun smiled faintly and said, "So it's the Lord Commander who wishes to participate. All right then, please write your name on the register, then put your fingerprint on it and pay the money." "Many thanks." Lin Muyu walked forward and took the quill from a guard. She wrote her name on the register and put her fingerprint on it. At the same time she glanced over and saw that there were two other applicants in front of her. One was Yuan Lian and the other was Tan Zhong. They seemed to be the names of the children of officials. That Yuan Lian was most likely the person who had appeared at the auction house last time. He was the son of the protector of the realm Xianxia. He must also have some ability. After signing, Ko Sun glanced at Lin Muyu's handwriting and held back a smile. It's done. The sword duel assembly will be held on the viewing platform in front of the Zetian Hall in 5 days. Lord Commander, please don't be late. Many thanks. Lin Muyu cupped her fists and turned to lead Wei Chou and the others out of the side hall of the Zetian Hall. However, they hadn't walked too far when they saw a group of maids walking over with lanterns in their hands. The moonlight fell on the face of the woman in the middle, reflecting a bright and beautiful luster. It was none other than Qin Yin who had arrived. Big brother you. Qin Yin quickened her pace and arrived at Lin Muyu's side as light as a butterfly. She smiled and said, "You didn't even tell Xiao Yin that you were coming to the palace." "Fortunately, Imperial Father's attendant told me." Her expression was affectionate as she held onto Lin Muyu's arm. Immediately Wei Chou and the rest revealed dubious expressions, as though they understood what was going on. This caused Lin Muyu to feel slightly awkward as she said, "I'm here to sign up for the sword duel tournament, so I didn't come looking for you because there's nothing special." Qin Yin pouted. "Then you can come and see me too." Lin Muyu didn't know how to argue with him, so she said, "Isn't that? The moonlight tonight is really nice." Qin Yin raised her face and looked at the moonlight. She couldn't help but smile. "The moonlight is beautiful, but brother you should come with me. Father wants to see you." "Oh, His Majesty wants to see me." "Right, let's go." "All right." The group headed straight for the main hall of Zetian Palace. Wei Chou and the rest of the Imperial Guard stayed outside, and only Lin Muyu was pulled by Qin Yin into the main hall. However, Qin Jin wasn't at the back of the main hall but in the back hall. When Lin Muyu walked over, she was given a fright. She saw that the emperor was actually wearing a simple set of clothing and was currently stir-frying an iron wok. This emperor of the empire was actually cooking. You're here." Qin Jin smiled without even turning his head. "Wait a moment. Father's stir-fried clouded deer tongue sliced meat will be ready very soon. You didn't even tell me that you were coming back. Fortunately, an attendant told me, so I had Xiao Yin call you over. Today our family will have a good reunion dinner together. In the future you remember to come back for dinner every festival. Otherwise there will only be me and Xiao Yin at this large table. You also know that Xiao Yin has always loved krauts since she was young." Lin Muyu's heart warmed. She cupped her fists and said, I understand, father. Sit down and wait for a moment. Alright, Xiao Yin, go warm up the wine. The weather is getting cold and drinking ice-cold wine will hurt your stomach." "Yes, father." The way the empire warmed wine was very simple. Qin Yin placed the wine pot in a golden cauldron and poured some hot water into the cauldron. Just like that she warmed the wine. Lin Muyu didn't sit down. She turned around and walked out of the main hall. She said to Wei Chou and the rest, "I'm going to eat at Zetian Palace today. You guys go back to the Eagle Nest camp for dinner. If you're late, the spiritual fire department will close." Wei Chou smiled. "There's no need. We'll just wait here for Milord. At least we can look after each other." That's fine." Lin Muyu nodded. She understood what Wei Chou was thinking. Now that Lin Muyu was the emperor's godson and was on good terms with Feng Jixing, Qin Lei and Qin Yin, Divine Marquis Xing Yifan had long since viewed her as a thorn in his side. If she went out alone, she might fall into Xing Yifan's clutches. No matter how strong Lin Muyu was, she was no match for Xing Yifan. There was no doubt about that. If Wei Chou and a dozen other imperial guards were present, they could at least put up a fight against Xing Yifan. Even if they couldn't win, they would still be able to escape unscathed. After all, the demon-devouring bow in Wei Chou's hands wasn't something to be trifled with. As long as they didn't fall into the range of Xing Yifan's oppressive aura, the arrows should be the most dreadful attack for a sanctuary expert like Xing Yifan. After all, arrows didn't have any spiritual nature and weren't affected by the oppressive aura domain. By the time they returned to Zetian Palace, Qin Yin had already warmed up the wine. Meanwhile, Qin Jin had already taken out the cloud deer tongue sliced pork and stir-fried small sharp peppers from the wok. An alluring fragrance immediately filled the air. At the same time, Qin Jin opened the steamer at the side. Surprisingly, there was a dish of bear paw stewed with blood ginseng inside. The fragrance was almost suffocating. Coupled with the other dishes, the table was soon filled with a sumptuous feast. Qin Jin clapped his hands and removed the apron in front of his chest. He regained the demeanor of an emperor and said with a smile, "What are you waiting for? You sit down. Xiaoyin, sit down as well. Pour some wine for Imperial Father and Big Brother." Qin Yin smiled very sweetly. "All right." The special flower plum wine was very fragrant. When a cup of wine was placed in front of them, just the smell alone was enough to make one intoxicated. Lin Muyu closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She savored the fragrance of the flower plum wine and sighed inwardly. The longer she stayed in this world, the more likely she would become a drunkard. This was not good. Qin Jin looked at Lin Muyu's expression and could not help but smile. "You come have a drink with Imperial Father." "I'm all right." Lin Muyu raised her cup and said with a smile, "Here's to Imperial Father's good health and all the best in your life." Qin Jin was taken aback by such a congratulatory speech. However, he soon felt relieved and said with a smile, "You's words are really interesting. Come, let's drink to the brim. This is the first time our family has tasted Imperial Father's cooking together. Let's not stand on ceremony." As soon as the wine entered her stomach, a warm current immediately rose in her abdomen. Although the flower plum wine was very fragrant, the alcohol content was not low. If she drank too much, she would probably become very drunk. Just as Lin Muyu was considering how much wine she should drink, Qin Jin pushed the pot containing the blood ginseng stewed with bear paw forward and said, "You try this dish. Imperial Father has stewed this bear paw for a whole day, so it should taste very good. The blood ginseng is good for clearing blood clots and is said to be able to heal bruises caused during cultivation. You and Xiaoyin should eat more." Many thanks, Imperial Father." "No need to be so polite. Xiaoyin, have a drink with your big brother you." "All right." Qin Yin picked up some food for Lin Muyu. After watching him eat 2 mouthfuls, she raised her cup and said with a smile, "Big brother you, Xiaoyin offers a toast to you. I hope that your cultivation will improve and you will step into the divine domain as soon as possible." No, I should say that you will step into the divine domain as soon as possible." Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. It's already difficult to step into the 3rd heavenly realm, let alone the divine domain or the divine domain. However, many thanks for Xiaoyin's auspicious words. He tilted his head back and drank the cup of wine. He could not help but complain. The wine cups in Zetian Palace were really not small. They were like large bowls. Just 2 cups of wine had already made him feel a little dizzy. He ate more food. Qin Jin's culinary skills were indeed top-notch. Even the chefs in places like Tingyu Restaurant were not necessarily better than him. It had to be said that Lin Muyu had a rather satisfying meal. Gradually he did not feel very reserved anymore. After all, Qin Jin and Qin Yin seemed to really treat him as part of their family. After an unknown period of time, his head felt a little heavy. When he was about 60 to 70% drunk, his stomach was also full. Lin Muyu tried his best to maintain a respectful and humble attitude. He did not want to show his original arrogance in front of Qin Jin. After all, Qin Jin was a supreme existence in this world. It was already rare for him to treat him like this. If he were to overstep his boundaries, it would be unreasonable. If someone respected him, he would respect them tenfold. This was the way Lin Muyu did things. You're also participating in the sword contest meet?" Qin Jin asked with a smile. That's right." Lin Muyu took advantage of the fact that he was tipsy. He placed one hand on the table and said with a smile, "When I first met Xiaoyin, she advised me to participate in the sword contest meet. Now that I'm a royal guard, there's nothing wrong with me participating in the sword contest meet. Besides, the top few in the sword contest meet should all be rewarded, right?" Qin Jin laughed. "That's only natural. The sword contest meet is held once every 3 years. It's the main channel through which the empire selects its generals. Those who get into the top 8 of the sword contest meet will at least be promoted to the rank of a Chiliarch or above. The top 3 will have limitless prospects, and the person who gets first place will receive the Gilded Dragon Talisman." As he spoke, Qin Jin stood up and took out an exquisite treasure chest from the gilded cabinet behind him. He opened the chest and immediately found a golden dragon-shaped talisman. He smiled and said, "This is the Gilded Dragon Talisman. With this talisman, one can command any army in the empire that has less than 10,000 people. You must get first place. Lin Muyu was a little puzzled and said, Big brother Feng Jixing and Qin Lei are also participating in the sword contest meet. Moreover, there are other experts. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for me to get first place. Imperial Father, you want me to get first place? Qin Jin smiled slightly. Don't ask so many questions. Just get first place. In short, don't let Zhen Fong Yuan Lian Ling Feng and the others get the Gilded Dragon Talisman. If you or Feng Jixing or Qin Lei get the Gilded Dragon Talisman, then those 10,000 troops will be under Imperial Father's control. Otherwise, Lin Muyu seemed to understand something. She narrowed her eyes and said, if there's someone who can wield this Gilded Dragon Talisman, then Imperial Father can have an army of 10,000 soldiers, right? Smart. Qin Jin smiled cheerfully. He's late. Go back and rest early. Thank you, Imperial Father. There's still a lot of food here. Shall I bring some back for you? Thinking about how Wei Chou and the others were still hungry outside, Lin Muyu nodded. Thank you, Imperial Father. Chapter 182. When Lin Muyu walked out with a basket filled with food, Wei Chou and the others revealed gratified expressions. They all understood the saying that accompanying a ruler was akin to accompanying a tiger. Disregarding the reward, it was already a blessing for Lin Muyu to be able to come out alive. However, Lin Muyu's complexion looked good, which made them feel relieved. It smells so good. What are you carrying, my lord? Wei Chou asked with a smile. Lin Muyu waved the basket and said with a smile, His Majesty personally cooked some food. I brought some out. Ah, really? Xiahou Sang's eyes widened. Commander, is this really food personally cooked by His Majesty? Yes, how can it be fake? Ah, my lord, can we have a taste? Lin Muyu smiled. I'm already full. I brought it out to reward you. All right, it's not appropriate to say such things in Zetian Palace. Get on your horses and follow me out of the imperial city. Yes. Not long after, a group of people slowly rode on their horses along Tongtian Street. Lin Muyu distributed the food in the basket to the eagle guards. For a moment, Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang and the others ate the bear paw and pheasant meat. All of them were on the verge of tears as they thanked the heavens for their kindness. To Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang and the others, Qin Jin was the ruler of all living beings. To be able to eat the food cooked by Qin Jin was an honor in itself. Many people served in the imperial army but never got to see Qin Jin, the Radiant King, once in their entire lives. Those who could eat the food personally cooked by the Radiant King should be able to smile in the underworld, right? It's delicious. Wei Chou's eyes were a little red as he said. His Majesty can truly be said to be unparalleled. His culinary skills are simply amazing. No wonder it's widely spread among the people and they all praise him as a brilliant ruler. Is that so? Lin Muyu took advantage of her drunkenness and said with a smile, Yes. His Majesty is indeed a wise ruler. In reality, this was not what he thought in his heart. Although Qin Jin was a gentle person, this was also his greatest flaw. As an emperor, it was important to be gentle, but he did not have enough authority. This was why he could not do anything when Zhen Yifan, Luo Xing and the others were so overbearing. Qin Jin had only grasped half of the skills of an emperor. Is it really delicious? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. It's delicious. Wei Chou and Xiahou Sang said in unison. Then they quickly wiped the tears from the corners of their eyes. Lin Muyu could not understand why these people were crying. However, when she recalled what Qin Jin had said to her at the end, she could not help but feel a chill in her heart. Did Qin Jin really see her as his adopted son? That might not be the case. He knew that with his abilities, the chances of him obtaining first place in the sword duel tournament were extremely high. Perhaps the reason why he was so nice to him was to make use of him? Making use of him? He sighed. His heart was filled with helplessness. My lord, what are you talking about? Wei Chou asked, puzzled. It's nothing. Lin Muyu tightened his collar and said, Let's go quickly. It's very cold at night in Lanyan City. Yes. On Eagle's Nest Mountain, the cold wind howled like the wails of ghosts and gods. Lin Muyu sat in his room and slowly released the spirit pulse technique. In an instant, his spirit became clear and the drunkenness disappeared. His spirit was refreshed. As his cultivation progressed, it seemed like the strength of his spirit was also increasing. Perhaps he could control the power of the fourth star? He could not help but feel excited when he thought of this. Whoosh! He stood up and put on his cloak. Lin Muyu raised his right palm and quickly increased his battle energy. The power of the fourth star swirled in the depths of his energy reserve. Suddenly the scene became extremely demonic. Waves of demonic power appeared around him, gradually distorting the power of space. Everything around him became faint. This was also the unique feature of the fourth star's attack. It could distort space and cause damage to all targets within a certain range. For Luminary's demon and God's cry. The power suddenly exploded. However, just as the destructive power was about to completely explode, Lin Muyu suddenly retracted his power. Instantly, the distortion of space disappeared. Waves of battle energy scattered in all directions, turning into spiritual power that seeped into the ground. The power of human cultivation came from the earth and the stars. After the power exploded, it naturally returned to the earth and the stars. At this moment, the people in the Eagle's Nest camp with slightly higher cultivation were all startled. Wei Chou Xiahou sang and the others all climbed out of their barracks. They were all stunned. What happened? Such a strong wave of power just now. Even though these people did not know the spirit pulse technique, which was a secret art to cultivate the spirit, they were still disturbed by the wave of the fourth star's power. At this moment, a voice came from outside as someone rode up the mountain. I am reporting to the commander about the latest mission from the Zhou Xian Palace. My lord, please wait for a moment. I will report to the commander now. Thank you very much. Lin Muyu had already put on her armor and left the room. She said, "What is it?" The messenger was a dragon guard and recognized Lin Muyu. He immediately saluted and said respectfully, "Commander Lin Muyu, this is the latest hunting mission from the Zhou Xian Palace. It is all recorded on this scroll." "Yes, I have brought it. Thank you. You are welcome." At this moment Wei Chou Xiahou sang and the others also gathered around. Wei Chou asked, "My lord, what new mission is this?" Lin Muyu unfurled the scroll. There were lines of words clearly written on it. 1 light-type spirit stone of over 6,000 years old, 20 leopard skin, 1 set of long hair ivory of over 3,000 years old. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "We need light-type spirit stones of over 6,000 years old. This is a bit difficult. My lord, may I ask if these missions were issued by His Majesty?" The dragon guard shook his head. "No, His Majesty is already asleep. These missions were issued by Master Che Qiong of the Zhou Xian Palace." If it was His Majesty, he would not have issued such a difficult mission to the Eagle's Nest camp in the days leading up to the sword duel tournament. A light-type spirit stone of 6,000 years old, humph. The dragon-seeking forest is already sealed by snow. Where can we find it? As he said this, he raised his eyebrows and said, "Commander, how about I ask Master Qin Lei to speak to His Majesty and dismiss this mission?" "No need." Lin Muyu waved her hand and said, "There are still 5 days until the sword duel tournament. Perhaps there is enough time. Since it is a mission issued by the Zhou Xian Palace's supervisor, the Eagle's Nest camp will do their best to complete it. However, I would like to ask, I have already handed over the 6,200 years old light-type spirit stone for Her Highness Yin's cultivation last time. Why do I need it again this time? Logically speaking, with Xiao Yin's current cultivation, she does not need spirit stones at all. Even if she used them, she would not be able to absorb too much spiritual energy." The dragon guard took a deep breath. "This spirit stone is not for refining but for forging weapons." "Forging weapons?" Lin Muyu was startled and said, "What does that mean?" The dragon guard cupped his fists and said, "Commander, you may not know, but the Zhou Xian Palace has gathered heroes from all over the world. A few days ago, they invited the most outstanding weapon forging master in the Heaven's Pivot Province, Yu Qian, to enter the Zhou Xian Palace. His Majesty intends to forge a light-type longsword for Her Highness Yin. This Yu Qian promised that as long as he can find light-type spirit stones that are above 6,000 years old, he will be able to forge a sharp sword that is at least profound grade rank 4 and offer it to Her Highness Yin. For this, His Majesty has already rewarded him with 10,000 Jinin coins." "So that's how it is." Lin Muyu smiled in relief and said, "Since it is a mission from the Zhou Xian Palace, The Eagle's Nest Camp will do their best to complete it. Help me bring flowers to Supervisor Xianxia. The Eagle's Nest Camp will complete the mission on time. There is no time limit and the commander does not need to go. Or, it won't be too late to go after the sword duel tournament. And I have my own plans. Many thanks. You're welcome. Then this subordinate will take his leave. Alright, forgive me for not sending you off. Watching the dragon guard ride off into the night, Wei Chou immediately revealed an angry expression and said, "This is ridiculous, this is too much. Does that old man Xianxia really think that the Eagle's Nest Camp is a beast that he can order around at will? He said he wants it, but didn't he think about how strong a light-type spirit beast above 6,000 years old is? Even if the dragon guard went to hunt it, it would take several people to kill it, not to mention the Eagle's Nest Camp. Mother ***, this is too much, too much." Xiahou also said, "That's right, Commander, why don't we report this matter to His Majesty and impeach Xianxia for abusing his power?" "There's no need." Lin Muyu raised her hand and said, "If His Majesty finds out about this matter, he will only think that the Eagle's Nest Camp is useless. Since Xianxia has made things difficult, then we will complete our task. Rest early tonight. Tomorrow morning, Wei Chou, Xiahou, the two of you will pick 2 capable experts from the Eagle's Nest Camp. The 5 of us will set off with light equipment. We must find a suitable spirit beast within 2 days. You know the dragon-seeking forest better. Tell me, where else can we find a light-type spirit beast above 6,000 years old?" Wei Chou frowned and said, "My lord, this matter is indeed too difficult. Not to mention the fact that light-attribute spirit beasts that are over 6,000 years old are hibernating. It's at least 5 days' journey away from us." Xiahou was silent for a while, then said with a frown, "Actually, that is not the case." "Oh, what method does my lord Xiahou have?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Xiahou said, When I was young, I used to hunt in the dragon-seeking forest with my father. At that time, the dragon-seeking forest had not been designated as a forbidden area by the Imperial Army. I remember that in the southeastern corner of the dragon-seeking forest, near the borders of Heaven's Pivot Province, there is a forest called the Forest of Malicious Ghosts. It is a forbidden area for all hunters, and anyone who enters it will die. However, my father said that there is actually a spirit beast that is at least 7,000 years old in the Forest of Malicious Ghosts. It is just that no one has been able to kill it. That spirit beast has been entrenched in the Forest of Malicious Ghosts for thousands of years, and even the government cannot do anything to it. The Forest of Malicious Ghosts is about 2 days' journey from here. If we don't stop, we should be able to make it in time. Alright, we will set off tomorrow morning. My Lord Xianxia will be in charge of the daily affairs of the Eagle's Nest Camp. Yes. Chapter 183. The next morning, Lin Muyu and the other 4 woke up early and left in a hurry while the entire Lanyan city was still asleep. They chose 5 of the most handsome horses in the Eagle's Nest Camp. It was destined that they would have to spend 4 out of the 5 days on the road. It was impossible for the warhorses to not have the stamina. They entered the dragon-seeking forest at noon and headed southeast. Along the way they avoided all the spiritual beasts. Fortunately, there was an abandoned official road in the dragon forest, which had been abandoned for decades. It was originally a shortcut from the imperial capital to Tianshu province, but after the dragon forest was blocked by the imperial capital's troops, it was abandoned. Thanks to this road. Otherwise, if they walked on the mountain road, they might not be able to reach it even after 5 days and 5 nights. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Muyu and the others had already entered the depths of the dragon-seeking forest. They only slept for 4 hours every night and fed the horses. They spent the rest of the time on the road and all of them looked exhausted. Damn, what a pity. If we had the time, we would have killed that 2,900-year-old cloud leopard, Xiahou said bitterly. The cloud leopard's fur is very precious. It is said that a complete cloud leopard's fur can be sold for more than 5,000 jin coins in the capital. What a pity. Lin Muyu smiled as she galloped on the horse. Look at how poor you are. Don't worry, if we successfully complete the mission this time, I will ask His Majesty to increase the salary of the Eagle Nest Camp. At the very least, the soldiers who go on a mission should be rewarded. Otherwise, their enthusiasm will be too low. Xiahou smiled gladly. The commander is wise. You should have done this a long time ago. When Lord Mengfong was the commander, he only thought about his own promotion and was cautious in his actions. He never thought about fighting for a raise in salary for his brothers. Wei Chou could not help but laugh. Lord Xiahou, we are the Imperial Guards. We can't always think about Jin coins. When Lord Mengfong was the commander, he only thought about getting promoted and was cautious. He never thought about fighting for a raise for his brothers. Wei Chou is right. The Jimin coin has a magical power. It will make people sink deeper and deeper until they reach a point where they are unable to extricate themselves. Then everything will be over, a certain someone said as he wondered if he had already reached the point where he could no longer extricate himself. Wei Chou respectfully replied, "What the commander said is extremely true. Wealth is merely a worldly possession. It is still the commander who sees things clearly." This subordinate is filled with admiration. Lin Muyu smiled proudly, but Wei Chou and Xiahou Sang didn't know that his cosmos sack was filled with 760,000 Jin coins, which was equivalent to diamond coins. After running for a while longer, the road ahead started to blur. It was covered by wild grass and it was almost impossible to see clearly. Lin Muyu unfurled the scroll and frowned. "Are we already very close to the forest of malicious spirits?" Xiahou Sang, you know better. Come take a look. Xiahou Sang took the map and glanced at it. He grinned and said, "Sir, we're lost." Lin Muyu was speechless. A million curses ran through her mind, but she maintained a smile on her face. "Then, please lead the way, Sir Xiahou. If we can't find the forest of malicious spirits tonight, I promise I won't beat you to death." Xiahou Sang shuddered. "Don't worry, sir. I will definitely find the forest of malicious spirits with my childhood memories." Very soon they left the main road under Xiahou Sang's lead. The group rode through the thistles and thorns in the dense forest. This place was indeed deserted. No one had come here for at least a decade. The sun was about to set and it was going to be night soon. If they couldn't find a dry and safe place to set up camp, they would probably be surrounded and attacked by many swift wolves. The swift wolves were the most frequent spiritual beasts in the dragon-seeking forest. They were also the most cohesive spiritual beasts. Furthermore, the deeper into the forest, the stronger the swift wolves. Currently, the spiritual beasts that Lin Muyu and the rest were at were all between 300 to 500 years old. The pack of swift wolves here was enough to fight against a 5,000 years old spiritual beast. They might even be able to kill a 5,000 years old spiritual beast. This was the balance of nature. Wei Chou took out a torch from the back of his horse. He dipped it in black beech oil and lit it up, illuminating the path ahead. Another royal guard opened up the path in front. This was a fierce general who wielded a long blade. He swung his long blade that weighed 50 kilograms in an airtight manner, cutting through the branches and vines. He roared angrily as he opened up the path. Lin Muyu followed closely behind. She slowly extended her spirit pulse technique. Suddenly she narrowed her eyes and said, "Be careful ahead." "What's wrong, sir?" "There aren't any spirit beasts," Wei Chou said in surprise. "No, there are. They're just hidden underground. Be careful." "Yes." Xiahou Sang also lit a torch and urged his horse forward. Suddenly, a hissing sound came from beneath the ground. The next moment, with a snap, a blood-red vine with thorns broke out of the ground and quickly wrapped around Xiahou Sang and his horse. The thorns quickly pierced into his armor. Fortunately, Xiahou Sang's true qi was in his armor and he was not injured. He suddenly pulled out his saber and chopped the vine into pieces. He angrily shouted, "What the hell is this? Be careful." Lin Muyu said indifferently. "Pfft." Another blood-red vine drilled out of the ground and stabbed at Wei Chou like a spear. This attack was not weak. Lin Muyu flipped off the horse and galloped forward. She raised one hand and the wall of the gourd blocked in front of Wei Chou. With a dang, the vine was shattered into pieces. At the same time, she extended her spirit pulse technique to the surroundings to capture the location of the spirit power. With a low shout, the green gourd martial spirit appeared and the gourd vines drilled into the ground. Oh! Finally, the sneak attacker dug through the soil and came out of the ground. It was a wolf-type wild beast with red leaves all over its body. It looked very demonic as it wagged its tail. That tail didn't look like a normal wolf's tail. Instead, it looked like a vine with blood-colored juice flowing out of it. This was a spirit beast with both plant and wild beast characteristics. Wei Chou squinted and said, It's a bloodthorn vine wolf, a 4,700-year-old bloodthorn vine wolf. It actually came to us. It's really courting death. Lin Muyu said, I will attract its attention. Wait till you kill it. Yes, master. Without saying a word, Lin Muyu leaped into the air and unsheathed the dragon spirit sword on her back. Under the guidance of bolts of lightning, she turned the sword around and slashed at the bloodthorn vine wolf. Roar! The bloodthorn vine wolf opened its bloody mouth and roared. There was not a tongue in its mouth but a very disgusting plant feeler. This wolf looked like a creature from another dimension. So disgusting. Voila! Blood-red vines stretched out from the ground, intending to block Lin Muyu's attack. There were actually scales and thorns on the vines. It seemed to be a defensive skill of the bloodthorn vine wolf. However, the dragon spirit sword was a 4th-tier saint rank sword. How sharp was it? Gotcha. Directly cutting the vines, Lin Muyu's demonic sound fist landed on the bloodthorn vine wolf's head. Whoop! The bloodthorn vine wolf was instantly stunned. It shook its head and retreated a few steps. At this time, Wei Chou pulled the demon-devouring bow from afar. So, an arrow flew out and directly hit the bloodthorn vine wolf's neck. Like plant juice, fresh blood gushed out. The bloodthorn vine wolf howled again and actually did not dare to fight anymore. It turned around and burrowed into the hole underground, digging quickly. Ran away. Wei Chou urged his horse forward, a helpless expression on his face. This kind of bloodthorn vine wolf uses vines to dig the ground. It is indeed a bit difficult to kill. Damn, it is my fault that I did not directly hit its head. Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. It's fine. Follow it, it won't go far. But Wei Chou was stunned. Does Milady know the specific location of the bloodthorn vine wolf? Just follow me. Yes. It was time to show off her talent. The spirit pulse technique allowed Lin Muyu to firmly lock onto the position of the bloodthorn vine wolf. Everyone jumped onto their horses and galloped forward with Lin Muyu. The speed at which the bloodthorn vine wolves fled was not just fast, it was almost as fast as a warhorse. Lin Muyu walked in front and lightly opened her hand towards a pile of shrubs. Chaos of the common life. In an instant, the ground in a radius of tens of meters was enshrouded by the chaos of the common life. In the blink of an eye, a violent aura was emitted from the chaos of the common life. With a huala sound, the thorny shrubs were razed to the ground. Heavens! Wei Chou, Xiahou sang and the others were dumbfounded, but they did not say anything. They could only secretly rejoice that they were not Lin Muyu's enemy. Having such an enemy was really a misfortune in life. The bloodthorn vine wolf continued to run underground, bringing Lin Muyu and the others with it for close to 20 minutes. Suddenly Lin Muyu raised her hand and said, All right, stop chasing. What's wrong, milady? This bloodthorn vine wolf's spirit stone and beast soul are all treasures. Wei Chou asked doubtfully. Lin Muyu shook her head and said, No, it's not good to lose your life for treasures. Dismount and don't make any noise. Follow me to take a look. I can feel a power even stronger than the bloodthorn vine wolf. It's not far ahead. Yes. Everyone solemnly followed Lin Muyu on foot. In front of them was a small hill. Lin Muyu quietly hid at the top of the hill and looked over. Under the moonlight, the bloodthorn vine wolf seemed to be blocked by something. It let out a miserable howl and broke out of the ground. In the next moment, a bolt of lightning exploded in the sky. Immediately after, a fierce beast rushed out from the side of the snow. It jumped into the air and opened its mouth to bite the bloodthorn vine wolf's head. Ayo! The bloodthorn vine wolf howled in pain, but it could not struggle. Its head was crushed with a loud crack. Under the moonlight, the appearance of the ambusher appeared in front of Lin Muyu and the others. It was a huge beast covered in scales. At this moment, it was greedily chewing on the bloodthorn vine wolf's head with relish. It's a thunder umbrella dragon. Wei Chou was dumbfounded. This is a 6,500-year-old thunder umbrella dragon. It's the only one among the umbrella dragons that has the light attribute. Is that so? Lin Muyu raised her arm and slowly pulled out the dragon spirit sword. She smiled and said, Wei Chou, do you know what the thunder umbrella dragon's weakness is? It's time for you to show your strength. We'll launch a sneak attack. As long as you shoot an arrow from the demon-devouring bow into the thunder umbrella dragon's body, it will be poisoned. After that, it will naturally be much easier to deal with. Yes, let me try. Chapter 184. Wei Chou reached out and deftly took out the demon-devouring bow from his waist. He slowly drew the bowstring and spiritual energy instantly condensed into an arrow of light. Wei Chou pointed it at the lightning umbrella dragon's neck with a serious expression. At this time the lightning umbrella dragon had finished eating the bloodthorn vine wolf's head. It immediately bit down on its neck and dragged it back. It was also at this time that the lightning umbrella dragon revealed a weak spot on its neck. There a few scales had been torn off by something, revealing a scar. This was the chance Wei Chou had been waiting for. Whoosh! The arrow burst forth in the cold wind. By the time the lightning umbrella dragon heard the sound of the wind, it was already too late. It howled in pain as the arrow hit its neck. Wei Chou's arrow had just hit the umbrella dragon's wound. Lin Muyu cheered inwardly. The cold wind at night was very cold and the wind changed direction very frequently. The hill was almost 150 meters away from the lightning umbrella dragon, and Wei Chou's arrow had actually hit its target from such a distance. Wei Chou's arm strength and eyesight were definitely among the best in the entire royal guard. This ability alone was enough to earn him a place in the royal guard. At this time the lightning umbrella dragon roared angrily. It put down the vine wolf's corpse and rushed up the hill. It looked like it couldn't restrain its anger. Unfortunately, its movements were a little sluggish, and the poison from the demon-devouring bow was quickly spreading through its neck. Go! Lin Muyu let out a low roar and rushed down the hill with the dragon spirit sword in hand. Her martial soul shone brightly, and the gourd walls were successfully activated. After the gourd walls blocked the umbrella dragon's attack with a clang, the dragon spirit sword quickly swept across and directly chopped the scales on the umbrella dragon's neck. Crack! A holy grade weapon was different from a mysterious grade weapon. The sword directly cut through the scales on the umbrella dragon's neck, cutting in by almost 5 centimeters. Blood instantly flowed out. Roar! The umbrella dragon roared and suddenly raised its head. Suddenly, bolts of purple lightning condensed in the surroundings, forcing Xianxia and the others to retreat. Their white battle robes were almost charred black. Only Lin Muyu alone could withstand the lightning attack. Her battle boots stepped on the ground, and she endured the numbing feeling of the lightning all over her body. The dragon spirit sword slashed at the lightning umbrella dragon's head for the second time. Crack! The pseudo-dragon's scales were shattered. How could it withstand such a fierce attack? Its head was already bleeding. It roared and raised its sharp claws, landing directly on Lin Muyu's waist. The moment the dragon scale wall shattered, Lin Muyu felt a dull pain in her waist. A large piece of the Holy Palace armor had been torn apart, but her body did not suffer much damage. She did not expect the Thunder Umbrella Dragon to be able to counterattack after suffering such a heavy injury. Stealing her heart, Lin Muyu's wrist was filled with demonic energy as she directly injected the second element's profound energy into the long sword. With a low roar, she pressed the dragon spirit sword against the umbrella dragon's head and pushed it straight in. Crack! The sharp blade penetrated the spirit beast's head. Demonic energy danced wildly. The Thunder Umbrella Dragon could not withstand it anymore. It cried out in pain and fell to the ground, its body twitching. Lightning continued to flash around it. Xianxia, Wei Chou and the others did not have the courage to step forward. Phew! Lin Muyu heaved a sigh of relief. Holding the long sword, she smiled and said, "Luckily Wei Chou's arrow injured the umbrella dragon first. Otherwise we would not have been able to kill it so easily." Wei Chou looked at the snowy ground that had been scorched by the lightning and said, "My lord, your green gourd's defense is stronger. That's why we were able to defeat it. Otherwise, I'm afraid we would have all been burned to ashes by the lightning." Xianxia nodded in agreement. Lin Muyu did not listen to the praise. He dug out the Thunder Umbrella Dragon's spirit stone. A 6,500-year-old light spirit stone was exactly what he needed. "My lord, we can return to Lanyan City now." Wei Chou smiled smugly and said, "I didn't think it would be so smooth." Zetian Palace's supervisor Che Qiong made things difficult for us. He probably didn't think that we would be able to complete his almost impossible mission so quickly, right? No. Lin Muyu shook her head and said, "We can't leave yet." Wei Chou and Xianxia were both stunned. "Because there must be another Thunder Umbrella Dragon," Lin Muyu said with certainty. Just now this Thunder Umbrella Dragon could have eaten this Rattan Wolf here, but it dragged this Thunder Umbrella Dragon back. This means that it needed to feed the other Umbrella Dragon. Also, this Umbrella Dragon's neck is injured. It's obvious that an even stronger spirit beast fought it. This means that the other Umbrella Dragon is already heavily injured. Otherwise, it would have come out to look for food. Since this is the case, we need to continue searching here. Since we're already here, let's maximize the benefits. Wei Chou was dumbfounded. It's just as Commander Qin Lei said. The commander is a genius who is skilled in both the pen and the sword. Xiahou sang, and I would never have thought of such a deduction. Xiahou sang chuckled and used a dagger to take out the spirit stone from the Rattan Wolf's skull in the Thunder Umbrella Dragon's stomach. He smiled and said, I only know that spirit stones can be sold for money. That's enough. Lin Muyu nodded and said, let's go and find the Umbrella Dragon's nest. It shouldn't be far. We just need to follow its footprints. Yes. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse. The moonlight fell on the snowy ground, creating a dazzling white. Lin Muyu and the rest followed the Umbrella Dragon's footprints. After about half an hour, they finally found that the footprints extended all the way to a cave under a mountain. They could smell an abnormal stench from afar. There were even some bones piled up outside the cave. Some of them belonged to humans, but the bones were black and had moss on them. They must have been there for a long time. Wei Chou frowned and said, maybe the Umbrella Dragon in this cave is more powerful? Not necessarily. Lin Muyu said lightly, if the Umbrella Dragon in the cave is more powerful, it should have come out to look for food. Lord, let me go first. Xiahou sang said with cupped fists. He was probably worried that something would happen to Lin Muyu, so he let his subordinate go first. However, Lin Muyu shook her head and did not say anything. Instead, she walked in with her sword. The stench became even stronger. As they went down the cave, the snow melted and formed a small canal that flowed into the cave. As a result, Lin Muyu's steps were very slippery. She could faintly hear a low growl when she was about 10 meters into the cave. Lin Muyu raised her dragon spirit sword. Immediately, the saint-grade sword burst into flames and illuminated everything around it. At the end of the cave, there was some dry grass and tree branches. An even larger umbrella dragon was entrenched inside. Its neck was a mess of blood and flesh. It was indeed injured to the extent that it did not even have the strength to move. All it could do was open its eyes and growl at Lin Muyu. Wei Chou was shocked the moment he stepped into the cave. Lord, this is a female dragon. The mother of the umbrella dragon from before should be like this. Also, this is a 10,000-year-old umbrella dragon that failed its tribulation. Lin Muyu also saw that there were a total of 9 distinct golden lines on the female dragon's head. As for the 10th, it was a little dim and scattered. It was as if the process of condensing was suddenly interrupted. Needless to say, this female dragon must have been attacked in the process of transforming into a true dragon. That was why she ended up in such a miserable state. She's injured. Her dragon essence is leaking. Xiahou sang suddenly pulled out his steel sword and said, "My lord, let's finish off this 10,000-year-old thunder umbrella dragon immediately. Since we've already killed its son, let's go all the way." Lin Muyu knew that there was no need to be soft-hearted at this time. She nodded and said, "Let's give her a clean death." "Don't worry, my lord." Xiahou sang suddenly leaped forward and stepped on the female dragon's head. He raised his sword with both hands and stabbed the wound on the female dragon's neck. Pfft! Blood splattered everywhere. The 10,000-year-old umbrella dragon raised its head and howled in pain. However, it could not fight back at all. Xiahou sang turned the hilt of his sword and cut off the female dragon's neck. In the blink of an eye, the umbrella dragon's head drooped. It was dead. A wild beast spirit flashing with lightning appeared in the air. "It's a 10,000-year-old wild beast spirit." Wei Chou smiled and said, "Commander, aren't you already close to the peak of the first heaven of the heavenly realm? Why don't you try to refine this umbrella dragon's wild beast spirit? A fresh 10,000-year-old spirit beast's wild beast spirit is too precious. It's not a treasure that you can come across just because you want to." Lin Muyu nodded. After so many days of cultivation, he could indeed feel the fighting aura in his body filling up day by day. He was almost at the point of saturation. Almost every day he had a premonition that he was about to break through his limits. He just hadn't had the opportunity to do so. This was a good opportunity. The umbrella dragon's element was light, but it also had the power of thunder and lightning. Lin Muyu cultivated in a very mixed set of laws, so he didn't care what kind of wild beast spirit it was. Xiahou Sang swung his saber at the umbrella dragon's head in an attempt to extract the spirit stones, but he couldn't cut through it. He shook his head helplessly and said, "My saber is only of fine quality. My lord, why don't you use your sword to extract the spirit stones?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. He swung his sword and immediately broke the umbrella dragon's head. He took out a fresh 10,000-year-old light spirit stone and put it in his cosmos sack. Then he propped the dragon spirit sword on the ground and began to release his martial soul to refine the wild beast spirit. At the same time he ordered, "The few of you guard me outside the cave. Be careful, there may be other spirit beasts here." "Yes, my lord, don't worry and cultivate." The six-tiered green gourd emitted a hissing sound as it greedily absorbed and refined the wild beast spirit. Lin Muyu felt an extremely empty feeling in his chi, as if no amount of spiritual power was enough to fill it. This was a sign that he was about to break through. He was secretly delighted and quickly released the refining cauldron to assist in the refinement. This way he could finish it faster. After all, this place was simply too dangerous. Chapter 185. There were two sources of power for a cultivator. One was the EC, which provided a steady stream of spiritual energy for the cultivator. There was an ancient saying that the 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical forms originated from the EC. This was because the heaven soul, earth soul, and life soul dominated the human soul, while the Tianchong spiritual wisdom, qi, strength, core, essence, and heroism formed the human soul. The cultivation of the spirit pulse technique started with the 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical forms, strengthening and refining them one by one. This made Lin Muyu's soul far stronger than cultivators of the same level, and her spiritual sense was naturally much more sensitive. The other source of power was the qi. The human qi came from the earth, the starry sky, the ocean, and the spirits. These powers gathered in the dantian and formed a qi. The cultivators of the Shattered Cauldron realm had a stronger desire to strengthen the qi than the EC. Zhang Wei, Wei Chou, and Xianxia could be found everywhere because the qi was the most direct source of power. At this moment, Lin Muyu felt that her qi was completely empty, as if all her fighting energy had been absorbed by the gourd martial soul. The indigo gourd surrounded her body and rotated slowly. Not only did it crazily absorb the beast spirit of the umbrella dragon, but it also seemed to absorb Lin Muyu's fighting energy. "What's wrong with this gourd?" Lin Muyu furrowed her brows, feeling that something was amiss. After an unknown amount of time, when the beast spirit of the lightning umbrella dragon was almost completely refined, a ray of light suddenly shone through the rocks and fell on the gourd. At the same time, the indigo gourd trembled slightly and wisps of golden light seeped out of the gourd like golden threads. In the blink of an eye, the green gourd martial soul had completely turned pale gold. Roar! In the treasure refining cauldron, the last wisp of the lightning umbrella dragon's beast spirit was still roaring and raging, trying to break out of the treasure refining cauldron. However, no matter how hard it tried, it could not succeed. The treasure refining cauldron had completely become a sealed space. When Lin Muyu gathered endless heavenly fire and continued to refine and burn it for 5 minutes, the wisp of beast spirit finally turned into rays of golden light and slowly seeped into the gourd. Buzz! The gourd let out a sharp whistling sound and trembled slightly. The outer walls of the gourd started to peel off, revealing the new gourd inside. It had become a completely golden gourd. At the same time, Lin Muyu was overjoyed. The gourd had leveled up, which meant that he had broken through the first level of the heaven realm. Finally, after being in the first echelon of heaven realm for a long time, he completed his breakthrough and finally caught up to Feng Jixing, Qin Lei, Chu Huayin, and the others. Lulu chuckled and said, "Congratulations on your breakthrough, big brother." "Thank you, Lulu." Lin Muyu smiled slightly. At the same time, she felt that the golden gourd was returning a powerful and boundless fighting aura to her. This was far more vast and pure than the fighting aura that she had absorbed before. At the same time, a milky white fighting aura slowly flowed on the surface of her body, condensing into a rugged armor-like defensive layer on the surface of her skin. Battle Chi armor. Finally, he also had the ability to transform fighting aura into armor. With the defense of the martial soul's gourd, Lin Muyu could be said to be a moving steel fortress. Unless one was absolutely above him, they would not be able to penetrate his defense. Lulu chuckled and said, "Big brother, the Thunder Umbrella Dragon's skill has also been refined. It's an offensive skill. Let's call it First Light of Dawn. This kind of power can be condensed in your attack, and it can also be released instantly to produce a dazzling light that pierces your opponent's eyes. It depends on how you use it." Yes. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. The 7 energy planes of the golden gourd contain the power of First Light of Dawn. He opened his palm and exerted force lightly. Buzz, buzz, fighting aura flowed, and under the catalysis of the martial soul, it condensed into a golden light of dawn that lingered between her 5 fingers. It even flowed along her 5 fingers into the dragon soul sword. Immediately, the dragon soul sword let out a sword cry, as if it was extremely happy because of this tyrannical light attribute power. Perhaps the sword that Lin Muyu slashed out now would definitely be different from before. At this moment, Xiaosang walked in from outside the cave. At one glance, he saw that Lin Muyu's green gourd had turned into a golden gourd, and the surface of the gourd was rapidly peeling off. Immediately, Xiaosang happily cupped his fists and congratulated him. "Congratulations, sir. Your gourd has been upgraded. It is no longer a level 10 green gourd." Lin Muyu was stunned. "What do you mean? I only know that the green gourd has been upgraded to the 7th level, but I don't know what other upgrades there are." Xiaosang explained, "Sir, you may not know this, but martial souls are not the same. Some people's martial souls are born with very low grades, but after some fortuitous encounters or arduous cultivation, their level 8 martial soul can also be upgraded to level 7. I believe that Sir's green gourd has now turned golden, so it should no longer be level 10. Perhaps when Sir returns to Lanyan City, you can let Great Deacon Lei Hong take a look at it. He will be able to determine the grade of your martial soul at a glance." "Hey, that's great." The level 10 martial soul had always been Lin Muyu's sore spot. After all, as an all-powerful figure, it was not right for her to have the lowest grade of martial soul. Now that Xiaosang had said this, it seemed that her counterattack was a foregone conclusion. Xiaosang said again, "Sir, it's almost dawn. Let's go back. If we continue to delay, I'm afraid Sir will not be able to make it to the sword duel conference." "It's already dawn." Lin Muyu was a little confused. She did not expect that she had refined it for so long. It must have taken a lot of time to upgrade the martial soul gourd. She nodded and said, "Yes, let's go back." The moment they stepped out of the cave, Wei Chou and the other 2 were all trembling outside. They had not slept for a night and their complexions were not very good. However, there was nothing they could do. This was fate. The people of the Eagle Nest camp were destined to have a much harder time than the Dragon Guards and the Tiger Guards. Wei Chou immediately saw that the characteristics of Lin Muyu's strength were completely different. He immediately smiled and said, "Congratulations on your breakthrough, sir." Lin Muyu nodded and said, "Thank you." The other Imperial Guard, called Han Shao, had a look of shock on his face and said, "Commander has also stepped into the 2nd heaven of the Heaven Realm? Let's go. Let's return to the Eagle Nest camp as soon as possible." Yes. Everyone left the cave together. The war horses were tied up not far away. After feeding them some fodder, they urged them on their way back. Fortunately, these war horses were good horses, or they would not have been able to withstand such torment. However, after this trip, these 5 war horses would probably lose a few kilograms. This was the dream of many girls. Lin Muyu sat on her horse, resting with her eyes closed. The war horse followed Wei Chou's horse forward. However, Lin Muyu always felt a little uneasy in her heart, as if something was spying on them. However, when the spirit meridian art spread out, there was no other powerful force in a radius of several li apart from them. This uneasy feeling was very puzzling. Slowly raising her hand, she unsheathed the long sword on her back and hung it on her waist so that she could draw it at any time. Lin Muyu's eyes were cold as she said, "Everyone be careful. It's not safe here." Everyone nodded. Xiaosang raised his warblade and said, "Don't worry, sir. We will step onto the main road in 10 minutes. At that time, the war horses will gallop and ordinary spirit beasts will not be able to catch up to us. Furthermore, Sir has already stepped into the 2nd heaven of the Heaven Realm, becoming a heavenly king powerhouse. Ordinary spirit beasts will avoid us. Is that so? Lin Muyu frowned and said, we still need to be careful. Yes, I know. Wei Chou also drew his longbow from his back, hanging it at his waist. At the same time he placed his other hand beside his quiver, ready to strike at any time. Lin Muyu closed his eyes, and the spirit meridian art spread out once more, searching carefully. At the same time he pricked up his ears, listening carefully to all the sounds around him. The sound of horse hooves in the snow, the clanking of armor, and the sound of cloaks fluttering in the cold wind. Other than that there seemed to be no other sound. However, at that moment, Lin Muyu suddenly furrowed his brow in alarm. He could clearly hear something strange amidst the sounds. It was a rustling sound like the sound of a beast's claws landing on the snow. However, when he opened his eyes and looked around he could not see a single beast. What is going on? Lin Muyu clenched his teeth, and even began to doubt the spirit meridian art's spiritual sense. Where did this strange sound come from? Suddenly his gaze fell to the back, and he saw a beast's palm print appearing on the snow with a rustling sound. However, he could not see the beast's figure. However, Lin Muyu had already confirmed that there was something following his group. His spiritual sense was not wrong and his ominous premonition was not wrong either. Be careful behind you. Lin Muyu suddenly turned around, raised his hand to pull out the dragon spirit sword, and rushed in the opposite direction. The person at the back of the group was the royal guard Han Xiao, who had the strength of a level 54 battle saint. He turned around in astonishment, looked at the snow behind him and said, "My lord, there's nothing?" Han Xiao, be careful. Lin Muyu shouted loudly. Right at this moment the scene in the air suddenly distorted. Amidst the roar of a wild beast, the figure of a scarlet beast suddenly appeared in the air in front of Han Xiao. Its body was covered in fur and its sharp claws swept past. Puchi. Han Xiao, who was on the warhorse, suddenly sank. The armor from his neck to his lower abdomen shattered, as if it was slashed by a long knife. His entire body was instantly divided into two halves, and his internal organs and blood gushed out of the ground. Even the warhorse's bones were broken by the beast's claws. With a wail, it fell to the ground together with Han Xiao's corpse. God damn it! Lin Muyu's voice trembled. His anger and unwillingness made his body tremble uncontrollably. Han Xiao died instantly and the scene of his death was extremely tragic. What kind of spirit beast was this? Chapter 186. Roar Roar. This crimson-furred spirit beast resembled a lion, but it wasn't one. Its head resembled that of a dragon, and its claws were extremely powerful. The spikes on its claws were close to 10 centimeters long, which was why it was able to dismember Han Xiao with a single strike. Seeing that Lin Muyu was charging toward it, the beast let out an enraged roar and pounced toward her. Roar. It leaped into the air and unleashed the same attack, swiping its sharp claws toward Lin Muyu's neck. However, Lin Muyu wasn't Han Xiao. She had a total of 4 layers of defense: black tortoise shell, dragon scale wall, azure rock armor, and battle armor. The beast's claws quickly landed on the black tortoise shell, and it instantly shattered with a resounding thump. However, Lin Muyu didn't miss such a golden opportunity. She raised her sword with both hands and swept it horizontally, the blade of her sword imbued with the power of true dragon essence flame and first light of dawn. Splat! The dragon spirit sword only managed to leave 2 gashes on the beast's front legs. Golden blood continued to drip onto the snow like scorching lava, quickly melting away all the snow within a meter of it. Roar Roar. The beast let loose another enraged roar and stomped its hind legs into the ground, leaping up like lightning again. This time it actually split its claws into 2 and tore apart the dragon scale wall and azure rock armor. It then opened its mouth and bit down toward Lin Muyu's neck. It was simply too powerful for Lin Muyu to take on, and she was forced to use her falling star steps to roll down the snow. Flap. The beast bit down on the ground, but it didn't even turn around. Instead, it swept its tail through the air like an iron whip, and there was no way Lin Muyu could evade it. She let out a muffled groan as the whip struck her back, and she immediately felt a scorching pain. This beast could almost break through the defenses of her battle armor with just its tail. Thankfully, she was wearing her battle armor. Otherwise, that attack would have definitely fractured Lin Muyu's spine, and she would have been in deep trouble. Save the Lord, hurry up. Xiahou Sang charged over with his steel saber. Lin Muyu rolled away, but she raised her hand and used her calabash vines to entangle the beast. Huge clumps of calabash vines broke through the ground and bound the beast tightly. At the same time she shouted, "Xiahou Sang, retreat. No one is allowed to go forward." Wei Chou shoot its eyes. Yes. Wei Chou did not dare to rashly release the arrow. He tightened the bowstring, still waiting for the right opportunity. At this time, Lin Muyu also hastily and forcibly condensed the black tortoise shell and dragon scale wall. However, because it was the second time, their strength was far less than before. The dragon spirit sword suddenly flew out, and with the spiraling piercing power of the true dragon essence fire, it directly smashed into the mad beast's abdomen. That should also be its weak point, right? Peng! With a loud explosion, the dragon spirit sword did not disappoint. It drilled a hole in the mad beast's abdomen and golden blood spurted out. However, before the wound could be torn open, the mad beast raised its head and roared angrily. A powerful shockwave appeared, directly repelling the dragon spirit sword. At the same time, it also shattered the calabash vines. Lin Muyu opened her hand and controlled the dragon spirit sword from afar. At the same time, her left hand reached out and took out the demonic noise saber. Dou Qi swirled around her as she slashed out. Roar! The mad beast did not show any mercy. It directly used its scalp to block the demonic noise saber. With a dang sound, the demonic noise saber was blasted away. However, only some skin on the top of its head was sliced open. Its head was really hard. Seeing the mad beast charging at her, Lin Muyu did not retreat. She suddenly pulled back her right hand, her face full of anger. The surrounding space instantly distorted, and numerous celestial constellations appeared on the snowy ground. In response to Lin Muyu's summon, they all attached themselves to the power of her fist. She directly punched out at the mad beast. For Luminary's demon cry. Boom! A shockwave of Dou Qi instantly exploded, causing the snow within a radius of several tens of meters to fly into the air. Lin Muyu was actually forced to retreat and her entire right arm was numb. However, this mad beast was actually only injured after receiving the power of the fourth luminaries. It slightly bent its body and once again soared into the sky. It opened its bloody mouth and bit towards Lin Muyu's neck. She could not let her neck be bitten or she would die without a doubt. After using the fourth luminaries, Lin Muyu's body was already suffering from the backlash of the seven luminaries' profound energy. How could she dodge? She could only turn her body in an instant, and the mad beast's bite landed on her shoulder. With a poochie sound, those sharp teeth bit through her shoulder armor and fresh blood spurted out. The long teeth slowly pierced into Lin Muyu's flesh, and an intense pain quickly spread throughout her body and soul. Enduring the intense pain, Lin Muyu reached out and grabbed the handle of the dragon spirit sword. From the side, she pressed the dragon spirit sword against the mad beast's abdomen, and with a pu sound she pushed it in. Moreover, she continued to exert force, and the dragon spirit sword quickly sank into the spirit beast's body, all the way to the hilt. It was also at this moment, with the ping sound of an arrow leaving the bowstring, the mad beast on Lin Muyu's shoulder suddenly trembled, and immediately let go of Lin Muyu's shoulder. It howled miserably, and an invisible poisonous arrow entered its eyes. It was none other than Wei Chou who had shot this arrow. Roar, roar! The mad beast retreated continuously, broke free from the dragon spirit sword and quickly ran backwards. When Wei Chou wanted to shoot it again, he discovered that the mad beast had leaped up, and its body glowed with a golden light as it disappeared into the air, leaving only a trail of blood on the snowy ground. Ah! Lin Muyu couldn't help but let out a miserable howl. Her face was ashen as she fell to the snowy ground, and a sharp pain came from her shoulder. Fortunately, the mad beast's mouth wasn't bigger, or else its teeth might have touched her heart. At that time, even a deity wouldn't be able to save her. "Milord." Xiahou Sang hurriedly went forward to support Lin Muyu, but her eyes were looking around and she shouted, "Be on guard." The other two Imperial Guards' faces were already filled with shock. They had never seen a fight like this before. The most brutal fight between humans and wild beasts couldn't be more brutal than this, right? Lin Muyu trembled as she took out 2 bottles of healing medicine and quickly poured them on her wounds. At the same time she took off her shoulder armor and said with a pale face, "What the hell is this thing? I've never seen it before." In fact, Lin Muyu had been conquering for so many years, but she had never seen this kind of monster on any map. On the other hand, Wei Chou frowned and said, "It's the Heaven Beast, the legendary hunter." Heaven Beast? Xiahou Sang was stunned. Wei Chou nodded. "That's right, I've seen the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. The Heaven Beast is probably one of the species at the top of the food chain, and its status is comparable to that of a real dragon. Its greatest ability is to use the power of light to create a blinding effect, which is what we saw just now. Can turn invisible and hide its breath to launch a sneak attack. Since ancient times, countless peerless masters have died under the sneak attack of the Heaven Beast in the dragon-seeking forest, and many of them were sanctuary powerhouses. Therefore, the Heaven Beast has another name, which is Hunter. My lord, we've been targeted by the Heaven Beast this time, and the odds are against us." Lin Muyu was stunned and said, "Didn't it leave with injuries just now?" There was a trace of fear in Wei Chou's eyes as he said, "I'm afraid that's not the case. The Heaven Beast is a natural revenant. As long as it targets its enemy, it will definitely not stop until they die. Even if it's injured, it will definitely come back again. We should leave this place quickly, the further the better. Maybe because of its injuries, it can spare our lives." Lin Muyu also felt that she couldn't fight anymore, so she nodded and said, "Then Han Shao's corpse. Don't worry about it anymore." Wei Chou said lightly, "Han Shao was an imperial guard and he was ready to sacrifice himself for Zhe Tian Palace at any time. This time he died in the line of duty and his soul belongs to his honor. We can't lose our lives just to collect his corpse. That would be an unwise move. Moreover, you are the Emperor's godson and all the more you can't die in a place like this. Although it's very difficult for us. Alright, stop talking. Let's go quickly." "Yes." Lin Muyu mounted her horse with difficulty and looked around with an ashen face. The Heaven Beast was a natural hunter, and her spirit pulse technique had already lost its effect under the Heaven Beast's concealment ability. Just as Wei Chou said, staying here and entangling with the Heaven Beast was no different from courting death. She abruptly whipped the warhorse and it quickly galloped away in the snow. Everyone's mood was extremely heavy. They originally thought they had easily completed their mission, but they didn't expect to be targeted by an evil beast like the Heaven Beast right before they left. It was hard to say whether they would live or die. While running wildly, Wei Chou said, "I saw clearly just now that this Heaven Beast has a lifespan of 13,400 years. Can be said to be a divine beast. We're already very lucky to be able to injure it, so we should go as far as we can." "More than 10,000 years?" Xiahou Sang was speechless. Wei Chou faintly smiled. The Heaven Beast's predecessor was a moonoccultation beast, a legendary spirit beast that can absorb moonlight. Therefore, wherever there is a moonoccultation beast, there is no moonlight. When a moonoccultation beast cultivates for more than 10,000 years, it will undergo a tribulation transformation and evolve into a Heaven Beast. According to the Myriad Beast Atlas, Heaven Beasts are rarely seen in the world. I really don't know if we're lucky or just unlucky for 8 lifetimes. Lin Muyu's mood was heavy and her expression was solemn. She kept circulating the Dragon Forging Bone Remnant Scroll to speed up the healing of her injuries. At this time she had another ominous premonition. He felt that something was staring at them. That's right, he had the same feeling before. It seemed that the power provided by the Spirit Pulse technique had become an instinct. He could sense that the Heaven Beast was staring at them, but he didn't know where it was. Perhaps Lin Muyu also had an unshirkable responsibility for Han Shao's death. At this moment Lin Muyu felt true fear. He could even feel the Heaven Beast's contempt and determination toward him. He wanted to devour his soul and flesh. This was the feeling the Heaven Beast gave him. A few minutes later Lin Muyu narrowed her eyes, and her entire body suddenly brimmed with a murderous aura. If they didn't kill the Heaven Beast, how could they face Han Shao's spirit in heaven? Chapter 187. Late at night they decided to take a break and set up camp under a cliff. Wei Chou lit 3 bonfires and protected Lin Muyu at the spot closest to the cliff. This way they could guard against the Heaven Beast's sneak attack. After a day of running, they were at least several hundred kilometers away from the forest of malicious ghosts. However, that ominous feeling still lingered in Lin Muyu's heart. He looked at the darkness in the distance with an ugly expression and lowered his voice. "Wei Chou, how many arrows do you have left?" 3. "Sir, what's wrong?" Let's set a trap. Oh. Wuxia was astonished. We've already run for hundreds of kilometers. Could it be that the Heaven Vault Beast will launch a sneak attack? It will. Trust me. Yes. Wuxia signaled with his eyes, and Zhou Xian and the other 2 royal guards immediately took out their long swords and spears and dug a pit that was about 10 meters wide and 5 meters deep on the right side of the front. Then they laid down dead wood and scattered snow as a trap. Meanwhile, Wuxia pulled back the 3 spare longbows and mounted the arrows on them. After setting up the string, he aimed at the deep pit and was ready to shoot. Of course, all of this was done openly. Can this really fool the Heaven Beast? Wuxia squatted beside Lin Muyu and said, "The Heaven Beast isn't an ordinary beast. It has already gained intelligence and isn't just an ordinary level of intelligence. If it's really watching us, then what we've done would be in vain." "Oh, it'll work." Lin Muyu looked up. The cliff above them was like an eagle's beak. It was enormous and covered in snow. Who knew which direction the Heaven Beast would come from, so they could only take a gamble. Hiss. Lin Muyu pressed her palm on the ground. The calabash vines silently entered the ground and frantically stirred and squeezed, separating the soil under the ground. Soon Lin Muyu quietly completed a trap. It wasn't wide, no more than 5 meters, but 10 meters deep. Don't let anyone walk around there. Tie the horses and don't let them move. Lin Muyu pointed at the snow not far away. Wuxia seemed to realize something and nodded. Okay. Although Zhou Xian and the other 2 royal guards were very nervous, they maintained a trace of calmness. If it were a weaker person, they would have already broken down. A 13,400-year-old spiritual beast was staring at them, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. Furthermore, this spiritual beast could even turn invisible. This was a pressure that no one could withstand. Go to sleep. I'll wake you up when it comes, Lin Muyu said calmly. You can really sleep? Wuxia was stunned. Lin Muyu curled her lips and lowered her voice. Don't be so honest. Can't you pretend to be asleep? If we don't sleep, this injured Heaven Beast definitely won't attack us. Got it. Heh. Everyone leaned against the rock wall and took a short nap. The flickering flames reflected on their cheeks, giving them a peaceful feeling. Although Lin Muyu closed his eyes, he fully activated his spiritual perception. He could almost confirm that the Heaven Beast was staring at them not far away. The Heaven Beast could turn invisible and hide its aura, and the spiritual pulse technique couldn't detect it. However, thanks to the heavy snow, the ground was covered with snow. As long as the Heaven Beast came, the sound of its paws stepping on the snow wouldn't escape Lin Muyu's ears, no matter how low its voice was. As the cold wind whistled, Lin Muyu had to distinguish the Heaven Beast's footsteps from the sound of the wind. He frowned and held the dragon spirit sword in his arm. Although he looked like he was sleeping, his spirit was completely tense. After an unknown amount of time, the Heaven Beast seemed to be an experienced hunter. It fought with Lin Muyu and the others in a battle of wits and courage, patiently waiting for the best opportunity. Just when one of the royal guards started snoring, the Heaven Beast finally moved. Rustle, rustle. Lin Muyu clearly heard the sound of the Heaven Beast stepping on the snow. He needed to determine how far the Heaven Beast was and when it would attack. This was especially important. Don't move. Be careful. It's coming, Lin Muyu said in a voice as soft as a mosquito. Wuxia and the others were all solemn, but they still maintained their sleeping posture. Rustle, rustle. The footsteps got closer and closer. When the Heaven Beast was less than 10 meters away, Lin Muyu suddenly opened his eyes and said, "It's coming. Everyone be on guard." Everyone drew their swords and sabers. Just at this moment, a beast's roar reverberated in the air. The Heaven Beast revealed itself the moment it launched its attack. Wuxia hastily drew his longbow and an arrow left the bowstring with a whoosh. However, the Heaven Beast was originally attacking from the right. Just as it was about to step into the trap prepared by Wuxia and the others, it suddenly stopped and dodged Wuxiao's arrow. Instead, it attacked from the left. Moreover, the corner of the Heaven Beast's mouth curled up slightly as if it was laughing at Wuxia and Lin Muyu's stupidity. Roar. The Heaven Beast roared and pounced over, covering at least 5 meters with this leap. Lin Muyu flipped over and raised her right arm. Demonic energy danced around her fist, and the second glory, which had the strongest single-target killing ability, was instantly launched. Bang! The Heaven Beast roared angrily. Although it had thick skin and thick flesh, it blocked the second glory's attack with its spiritual power. However, its body fell from the ground, crushing the trap set by Lin Muyu with a crash, and falling down involuntarily. Lin Muyu leaped up with her sword in hand. Her battle boots stepped on the rock wall as she leaped up for nearly 10 meters. In the instant she spun around, she slashed out with her sword aura. With a cautious sound, the eagle beak-shaped rock above her was cut in half. In an instant, a huge rock weighing at least 10 tons fell from the sky, falling straight into the trap. Roar! The heaven beast opened its sharp claws and was climbing up when it saw a huge rock falling from the sky. Bang! The rock hit its head and it immediately screamed in pain as it was pressed to the bottom of the trap by the huge rock. This was a trap that was nearly 10 meters deep. It wasn't easy to climb up after being pressed down by the rock. Great plan, madam. Wei Chou suppressed the raging waves in his heart and asked, "Is it dead?" "No, it's not dead." At this moment the heaven beast was roaring angrily. Lin Muyu's spiritual perception could sense that its strength was only slightly weakened. It wasn't really crushed to death by the rock. If it could be crushed to death so easily, it probably wouldn't deserve to be called a divine beast. Let's go and leave this place while it's night. It still needs some time to struggle up. Yes. Wei Chou raised his demon-devouring bow and shot 7 to 8 arrows at the heaven beast's sharp claws. With an angry expression he said, "This beast killed Han Shao. I really want to tear it into pieces. Go. There will be opportunities in the future." Yes. The group rode away under the cover of the night, but Lin Muyu's mood didn't relax at all. She knew that the heaven beast wouldn't give up so easily. The heaven beast's mentality seemed to be similar to that of many scum humans. Because of a slight disagreement, it would want to kill someone. It was very rare to see a spirit beast that held a grudge and was so narrow-minded. After galloping for a day and a night, the four quickly arrived at the edge of the dragon-seeking forest. They were only half a day away from Longyan City. However, the warhorses were so tired that they couldn't run anymore and needed to rest. Even Lin Muyu's warhorse was foaming at the mouth. If it didn't eat and rest, it would definitely die on the spot. This time they chose a cave as their campsite. The original owner of the cave was a 700-year-old blind bear, which was killed by Wei Chou with a sword. They set up a pot and cooked the bear paw at the entrance of the cave. This time Lin Muyu finally didn't feel like she was being watched. It seemed that the heaven beast was crushed by the huge rock and couldn't get up anymore. This was a good thing. However, just as she was enjoying the bear paw soup, that feeling came again. Damn it! Lin Muyu cursed angrily and put down the soup in her hand. At the same time she extended her spirit pulse technique. This time she could actually lock onto the heaven beast's position. It seemed that the heaven beast was too injured last time and could no longer hide its aura. However, with the heaven beast's strength alone, it could still easily kill Lin Muyu and the others. The heaven beast was hiding in the forest less than 100 meters in front of them. Under her spiritual perception, the heaven beast's aura had become much weaker. This was thanks to the arrows shot by Wei Chou with the demon-devouring bow. The demon-devouring bow refined the soul of a highly toxic spirit beast, so the continuous poison infection had reduced the heaven beast's strength to less than 50%. However, Lin Muyu was already injured and her strength was also reduced to less than 60%. If they really fought, the heaven beast could easily kill them and leave after having a midnight snack. However, the heaven beast was too cautious. It was still waiting for an opportunity. Perhaps the heaven beast didn't even know that its location had been seen by Lin Muyu. Looking in her universe bag, there were still a few bottles of spirit concentration powder left. She took them out and said to Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang and the others, "Each of you drink 1 bottle of this medicine. Hurry up." What is this?" Wei Chou asked in astonishment. "Something that can save your lives. Hurry up." "Okay." The three of them completely believed in Lin Muyu's words and immediately drank it. Lin Muyu also drank 1 bottle. Then she took out a bottle of Qingfeng drunk and poured it in front of the cave. The medicine dispersed with the wind, and the heaven beast within 100 meters couldn't avoid it even if it didn't want to. The heaven beast was cautious by nature, but it was at a disadvantage here. The longer it waited, the stronger the effect of the Qingfeng drunk would be. This was also the result that Lin Muyu wanted to see. After a full 4 hours, when Wei Chou and the others were about to fall asleep, The heaven beast finally moved and slowly walked out of the forest. Although it was still invisible, Lin Muyu's spiritual perception had already locked onto it. He immediately opened his eyes vigilantly and said, "Be careful, it's coming again. Madam, what should we do?" Wei Chao's eyes were filled with despair. Lin Muyu smiled. "It's fine this time. You can blind its other eye first and I'll chop it up." Chapter 188. Swoosh, swoosh, golden gourd vines rose from the ground and quickly bound the invisible heaven beast. The thorns on the gourd vines quickly pierced through the beast's fur, instantly rendering the heaven beast invisible. Whoosh! The poisonous arrow pierced through the air and directly shot into the heaven beast's other eye. Immediately, blood splattered and miserable howls sounded. This time, both of the heaven beast's eyes were blinded. With an angry roar, it fiercely pounced over. It was indeed a ferocious beast. After losing both of its eyes, it still wanted to kill people. Lin Muyu rushed out with her sword and used falling star steps. She suddenly jumped to the star position and her figure instantly changed. She raised her left fist, which was surrounded by blood-red 7 luminaries' dark force. She suddenly punched the heaven beast's cheek. Bam! This punch was really powerful and it forced the sky beast to retreat repeatedly. The sky beast's ferocious nature flared up, and it quickly pounced at Lin Muyu again. However, Lin Muyu dodged it, and the sky beast's upper and lower teeth snapped in the air. The strength and speed of this attack were really shocking, but it was clearly inferior to Lin Muyu's falling star steps. Woo-woo, the heaven beast shook its head violently. Only when it launched its attack did it realize that something was wrong with its body. It couldn't use all its strength and it could only use less than 10% of its spiritual power. As a result, Lin Muyu was able to use 60% of her battle energy, so she naturally had the upper hand. Thanks to Qingfeng Zui, she wouldn't have such an advantage. The heaven beast was scheming, but it didn't expect Lin Muyu to be an expert in using poison. Swish! The dragon spirit sword slashed at the sky beast's neck in a fiery red arc. With just one slash, blood and flesh splattered everywhere. After being poisoned, the sky beast lost its spiritual power, which weakened its defensive energy layer a lot. With just one slash, the dragon spirit sword penetrated nearly 20 centimeters into the sky beast's flesh, revealing the bones. Roar! It roared and shook its head. Its tail turned into a sharp light that swept across, but Lin Muyu easily dodged it. To Lin Muyu, the heaven beast was too slow. Quickly changing the angle, Lin Muyu brazenly swung her sword again, this time on the same wound. Oh! The sky beast let out a blood-curdling howl as its spine was split in half. Bone fragments splashed everywhere. The sharpness of the dragon spirit sword was evident. Moreover, Lin Muyu had used all of her fighting energy to slash the sky beast, so her strength was naturally extraordinary. Roar! The dying heavens beast roared angrily. Suddenly raised its head and launched a light energy shockwave. Lin Muyu hurriedly condensed the walls of the gourd to block the attack. The golden light kept bouncing off the sky beast's attacks. Wei Chou Xiaosang and the others behind her also retreated far away. The battle in front of them was still beyond their reach. Rustle! She stepped on the ground with her battle boots, turned her body skillfully, and slashed for the 3rd time with the sword in her hand. Crack! This time the sound was crisper. Lin Muyu had used all of her strength in this attack. The dragon spirit sword shone brightly and directly cut off the sky beast's head along with its bones. With a plop, the huge beast's head rolled on the snowy ground, but its body was still waving its sharp claws and swinging its tail in the air. This process lasted for nearly a minute before the headless body slowly fell to the ground and died. Oh my! Wei Chou Xiaosang and the others were dumbfounded. They had seen many powerful spirit beasts, but they had never seen a spirit beast with such vitality. It's done. Lin Muyu sat on the snowy ground and held the sky beast's head with one hand. She sneered and said, "You beast injured the umbrella dragon mother and son and waited there for an opportunity. In the end you targeted us and followed us from the forest of malicious spirits all the way to Lanyan City. You didn't expect to end up like this, did you?" Wei Chou walked forward and patted Lin Muyu's shoulder. He laughed heartily and said, "Commander, we finally don't have to die under the sharp teeth of the sky beast. It was the joy of escaping from death." Lin Muyu gritted his teeth in pain. Wei Chao's inadvertent slap landed on his wound. I'm sorry, Commander. I got carried away and deserved to die. Wei Chou hurriedly cupped his fists and knelt in front of her. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. Get up. It's okay. It wasn't easy to kill this sky beast. Everyone worked hard. But, when we return to Lanyan City, we must not mention this sky beast and pretend it never happened. Just say that Han Xiao died in the line of duty while fighting the Umbrella Dragon. Why is that, madam? Xiahou Sang said blankly. The sky beast is the nightmare of all cultivators. Madam, you killed this sky beast with your own strength and ingenious plan. You're the only person in Lanyan City who can do this. Why do you want to hide the truth? Lin Muyu shook her head with a smile. It's precisely because very few people can kill a sky beast that we have to keep our mouths shut. If the Divine Marquis Estate and military police camp know that we killed the sky beast, believe it or not, military police camp will definitely send people to investigate us. Maybe they'll even think of stealing the sky beast spirit stone. It's always good for us to keep a low profile. Wei Chou cupped his fists and said, Commander is wise. I agree. Xiahou Sang didn't really understand, but he still cupped his fists and said with a smile, I, Xiahou Sang, am a boor and don't understand these things. But don't worry, Xiahou Sang will keep my mouth shut. Okay. Lin Muyu stood up and used the dragon spirit sword to cut open the sky beast's skull. Then she placed a scalding light spirit stone into her Qianquan bag. This was a sky beast spirit stone that had a lifespan of 13,400 years. Whether it was its age or quality, it was a rare item. As for how to use it, Lin Muyu already had a plan. She would use this sky beast spirit stone to refine the soul of the demon noise saber. Although the demon noise saber was a hidden weapon created by the famous General Feng Yicheng, it was only sharp. It was still a long way from being a real divine weapon. It could be used to kill the enemy on the battlefield, but if it encountered a real expert, the demon noise saber would probably be useless. This demon noise saber couldn't even cut through the sky beast's skull, which proved its lack of sharpness. Wei Chou used his long sword to cut the sky beast's fur, but he couldn't pierce through it. He couldn't help but be speechless and said, My lady, the sky beast's fur seems to be a good treasure and can be made into good leather armor. However, my blade isn't sharp enough to skin it. Can I borrow your dragon spirit sword? Lin Muyu raised her hand, and the dragon spirit sword fell into Wei Chou's hand. She smiled and said, Be quick. Everyone, have a good night's rest. We'll return at dawn tomorrow. We should be able to reach Lanyan City before noon. Yes. Not long after, Wei Chou peeled off the sky beast's fur. Since it was a very rare sky beast, he even broke the bones of the spirit beast, separated the meat from the bones and put them into a bag. The heart and liver were also put into another bag. As for the skull, he dug out the brain. Xiahou Sang even laughed and said that since the sky beast was so smart, it would definitely become smarter after eating its brain. This made Lin Muyu smile. These people dared to eat anything. If they were born in modern times, they must be Cantonese compatriots or descendants of Bear Grylls. With the death of the sky beast, everyone's sense of crisis was relieved. This place was very close to Lanyan City, so the spirit beasts that appeared were only about 1,000 years old. Even if a group of wolves attacked, Wei Chou and Xiahou Sang were enough to resist. Therefore, Lin Muyu finally had a good night's sleep. When she woke up the next day, she found that it was snowing again. A simple tent was set up above her head. It was a tent that Wei Chou made for Lin Muyu by tying his and Xiahou Sang's Imperial Guards' cloaks together. Although it couldn't block the wind, it could block the snow. Lin Muyu had been too tired these days. Wei Chou and Xiahou Sang understood that, so they took care of this superior who had saved their lives more than once. In the morning, they had a delicious soup made from the sky beast's heart. Tasted pretty good. The sky beast had been at the top of the food chain all its life, but now it had become a piece of meat in someone else's soup pot. It was really miserable. After eating, they drank some wine and warmed up before setting off. They galloped at full speed and arrived at Lanyan City before noon. Lin Muyu had to personally go to Zetian Palace to hand in the order, and Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang and the others had to follow because Han Xiao had died on this mission. Every Imperial Guard was personally appointed by the Emperor, so every one of them was very important. The death of an Imperial Guard in the line of duty was a big deal in itself. Therefore, the military police battalion had to intervene in the investigation of Han Xiao's death. Exhausted, he rode his horse into the side hall next to the Zetian Palace. Zetian Palace's supervisor, Qiong, was sipping wine with her eyes closed. Outside the door, Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said, Master Qiong, the Eagle Nest Camp is here to hand in the order. We have found the 6,000 years worth of light spirit stones. What, so fast? Qiong stood up and wiped the grease off his mouth. He smiled and said, Madam Lin Muyu, please come in. Lin Muyu held a piece of black cloth in his hand, and on top of the cloth lay the spirit stone, which was glistening. He smiled and said, As for the spirit beast skin, we will prepare it in a while. Just send this over for now. Okay, Commander, thank you for your hard work. Qiong smiled and said to the group of people behind him who were drinking together, Madam Wuxia, the spirit stone has been found. Soon, you will be able to forge a divine weapon that Her Highness Yin will admire. Among the crowd, a man about 30 years old with an imposing appearance stood up and walked over. He grabbed the spirit stone and weighed it in his hand. He smiled and said, There is a full 6,500 years of light spirit power stored. With this treasure, I will definitely be able to forge a long sword that will embarrass many blacksmiths in Longyan City. Her Highness Yin will definitely be satisfied and look at me in a new light. Lin Muyu stood there quietly. Her shoulder was still wrapped in bloody gauze. Wei Chou frowned and said in a low voice, Madam, this Wuxia did not even look at you. He is extremely rude. Lin Muyu said lightly, It's okay. Let's go back. Yes. At this moment, a eunuch announced from outside, Her Highness Qin Yin has arrived. Lin Muyu could not help but smile. Xiao Yin is really well informed. Wei Chou also smiled and said, Yes, after all, you have been away from Longyan City for 5 days. Chapter 189. Big Brother Yu. Qin Yin had an enchanting smile on her face. Her white cloak fluttered in the wind behind her, and the purple butterfly knot in her hair swayed beautifully. A group of dragon guards followed behind her and Chu Huayin was among them. It seemed that Chu Huayin, the commander of the Dragon Guard Battalion, was personally on duty in Zetian Palace today. However, when Qin Yin's gaze landed on the wound on Lin Muyu's shoulder, she immediately became nervous. She walked forward and gently touched the bandage. With a concerned gaze, she asked gently, Are you injured? Yes, it's just a minor injury, Lin Muyu smiled and said respectfully, Xiao Yin, why are you here? I heard that you returned to Zetian Palace to hand in your orders, so I came to take a look. Qin Yin's snow-white hand covered the wound. Suddenly she activated her power and a gentle fighting aura slowly seeped into the wound. In the next moment she revealed a reproachful expression. The wound is so deep and you say it's a minor injury. What exactly hurt you? Lin Muyu smiled awkwardly. It's really nothing. I'm a royal guard and a martial artist. It's normal for me to be injured. Qin Yin knew that he didn't want to say it. Her gaze landed on Wei Chou. She asked, What's your name? Wei Chou. Wei Chou was extremely nervous. He could finally talk to the heir of the empire. Moreover, she was the #1 beauty of the empire. How could he not be nervous and excited? Qin Yin asked, Wei Chou, how did my big brother you get injured? Wei Chou was taken aback and Lin Muyu hurriedly gestured for him to keep quiet. Wei Chou respectfully said, Reporting to your highness, Lady Lin Muyu was injured during our battle with the Umbrella Dragon. Not only that, we also lost a member of the royal guard, Han Shao. So that's how it is. Qin Yin moved her red lips. Her eyes were filled with heartache as she said, It's almost the end of the year. Furthermore, the dragon forest has been sealed off by the heavy snow. The Eagle Nest Battalion shouldn't have been sent out to patrol. Who issued this order? Wei Chou was stunned. I don't dare to say. At this time Qiong, the supervisor of the Zetian Palace, was also drenched in cold sweat. He hurriedly walked forward, cupped his fists and knelt on the ground. He said, Your Highness, this is my order. This old subject has committed a capital offense. Please forgive me, Your Highness. Supervisor Qiong? Qin Yin raised her eyebrows. What order did you give to the Eagle Nest camp? Before the end of this winter, obtain a light attribute spirit stone that is more than 6,000 years old. Is this the reason why Lady Lin Muyu was injured? Qin Yin was slightly annoyed. Qiong, as the supervisor of the Zetian Palace, don't you understand how important the lives of the royal guards are? Father, the Emperor has told you that the target spirit stone of the royal guards cannot exceed 6,000 years old. Otherwise, it is equivalent to sending them to their deaths. Qiong's entire body trembled. He said in a trembling voice, Your Highness, this old subject knows his mistake. It's just that. His Majesty invited the famous blacksmith Zhou Xian from the Heaven's Pivot Province to forge a light attribute divine weapon for Your Highness. It is also because of this that this old subject issued this order to the Eagle Nest camp. I hope that Your Highness can forgive this old subject's capital offense. Qin Yin sniffled. The displeasure on her face lessened a little. She said calmly, There can't be a next time. At least, you can't let Lin Muyu fall into trouble again. Otherwise, you can forget about being the supervisor of the Zetian Palace. Yes, thank you, Your Highness. At this time the extremely handsome Zhou Xian walked over. He respectfully cupped his hands and knelt on the ground. Your Highness, I am Zhou Xian. I am the eldest son of the Yuchi family of the Heaven's Pivot Province. This time I was invited by His Majesty to come all the way to the imperial capital. I am only willing to forge a sword that is at least profound grade rank 4 or above for Your Highness. If it can make Your Highness smile, I am willing to die 10,000 times. Ever since Qin Yin became an adult at the age of 16, she had always been regarded as the #1 beauty of the empire. The legend of her unparalleled beauty had long been known by the whole world. Therefore, the children of the major provinces naturally could not stop admiring this heir of the empire. The Yuchi family was also considered to be illustrious in the Heaven's Pivot Province. They had a wide influence. Zhou Xian wanted to use this time's forging to get close to Qin Yin. In the face of Zhou Xian's reverence, Qin Yin maintained the majesty and cultivation of the eldest princess. She gracefully bowed and said, Then I will have to trouble Lord Zhou Xian. Zhou Xian smiled slightly. Your Highness need not be angry at Lord Qiong. After all, he gave this order for your weapon. Moreover, the royal guards are loyal soldiers who are willing to die for the emperor. Even if they die in the line of duty for Your Highness' weapon, it would be an honor for them. Your Highness, am I right? Qin Yin's pair of beautiful eyes flashed with anger. She still maintained a seductive smile. Lord Zhou Xian's words are not without reason. I understand. Rest assured, I will not pursue the crime of Supervisor Qiong's dereliction of duty. The Yuchi family was considered a large family in the Heaven's Pivot Province. They had their own strengths in smelting iron, commerce and so on. They even directly supplied weapons to the imperial army stationed in the Heaven's Pivot Province. They also had very close relationships with many of the imperial army's generals. Qin Yin naturally could not offend the Yuchi family over such a small matter, so her words were still very appropriate. Zhou Xian respectfully cupped his hands and bowed again. Your Highness, this lowly one has already smelted the 10,000-year black iron for many days. I only lack a spirit stone. This spirit stone came at the right time. I will smelt this weapon tonight. If Your Highness does not mind, why not write the 2 words Qin Yin for this lowly one? This lowly one can then engrave these 2 words on the blade. With Your Highness's name engraved on it, this sword will certainly be passed down through the ages. Lin Muyu furrowed her brows and thought to herself, this Zhou Xian's flattery skills are really not ordinary. His demeanor is also very obedient and humble. If it was any other girl they would definitely submit very quickly, right? Wei Qiu on the other hand sneered and said softly, What a good flatterer. Lin Muyu was shocked. Son of a b***, Wei Qiu, how could you be so honest? Your lowered voice cursing was almost the same decibel as the sound of an airplane engine. It was deafening. It would be difficult for Zhou Xian not to hear it. This was troublesome. As expected, Zhou Xian raised his sword-like eyebrows and looked at Wei Qiu saying, This lowly one has always lived in Divine Shadow City in Dubhe Province. I did not know that the Imperial Guards of Lanyan City actually had such a rude person. Her Highness Qin Yin's beauty is unparalleled and her fame is well known throughout the world. Among the younger generation of the Empire, how many men do not admire Her Highness? How did my sincere heart become flattery in your mouth? Commander Lin Muyu, don't you think it's time for you to discipline your subordinates? Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said with a smile, All right, I will discipline them strictly when I return. I have troubled Lord Yuqi. He looked like a stinking hooligan and Yu Qian could not continue to blame him. However, Yu Qian was, after all, a man of his word among the younger generation of the Dubhe province. How could he swallow this vexation? In a low voice he mocked and ridiculed. I thought that the Imperial Guard were all heroes, but I didn't expect that they were just a bunch of rats who only know how to drive wolves and hunt dogs. What are you talking about? You dog. Xiahou Sang's explosive temper could not be tolerated in an instant. Lin Muyu said with a smile, I do not know what Lord Yuqi is saying. Why is the Imperial Guard a group of scoundrels who only know how to drive wolves and hunt dogs? Isn't that so? Yu Qian sneered. His Highness's safety is protected by the Imperial Army. The Royal Guards are dispensable, and you Eagle Guards are only here to hunt some spiritual beasts for the royal family to pass the winter. If you can do it, I'm afraid the hunting dogs of the hunters can also do it. If you really have the ability, I'm afraid His Highness would not have to go through the danger of Deer Cry Park. Qin Yin's face was full of displeasure. Lord Yuqi enough. Lin Muyu did not buy it. She reached out and blocked in front of Qin Yin. She looked at Yu Qian and said indifferently, Do you know how many Imperial Guards died in the danger of Deer Garden? Yu Qian, who do you think you are? You only forged a few trashy weapons and you dare to be complacent here? Isn't the Yuqi family known as a weapon-forging family? Do you dare to compete with me? How? Yu Qian laughed coldly. Competing in weapon forging? A boorish fellow like you, do you know how to control the fire and purify the iron? Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, You and I will each forge a sword for His Highness tonight. The sword must be engraved with His Highness' name. We will test it in Zetian Hall tomorrow morning. Do you dare? Why not? What are the stakes? Yu Qian laughed coldly with a card up his sleeve. I will bet however much money you brought to Lanyan City this time. Yu Qian gritted his teeth and said, I didn't bring too many gold coins, but I brought 200,000 gold notes from the Imperial Bank of Gold. Do you dare to bet? Why not? Lin Muyu was even more confident and said, Then please bear witness to this bet, Your Highness. All right. Qin Yin looked at Lin Muyu with some doubt. She did not know that Lin Muyu knew how to forge weapons. Even Lin Muyu's weapons were bought by Qin Yin after he earned money from his alchemy skills. In truth, Lin Muyu did not want to stand out at first. He also wanted to hide the fact that he was good at forging, but Yu Qian was too overbearing this time. If he did not suppress his arrogance, the entire Imperial army would be humiliated. Qin Yin sent them out of the hall and said with a slight frown, Brother Yu, are you really going to bet with Yu Qian? It is said that apart from a few old fellows from Tianshu province and Lingnan, there are very few people who can forge a sharper weapon than him. Don't worry, Lin Muyu looked at the attendant at the side and said, Bring a brush and ink. Have His Highness write his name for me. Yes, Your Highness. A few minutes later the brush and ink arrived, but the empty Zetian Palace did not seem to have a place to place the paper. Placing the paper on the ground would be detrimental to Her Highness's dignity. Just as Qin Yin was looking for a place with her eyes wide open, Lin Muyu knelt on one knee and bent down. She said, Little Yin, place the paper on my back and write. Can I? Qin Yin giggled. Why not? All right then. Placing the paper on Lin Muyu's back with the armor as the base, Qin Yin dipped the paper in ink. Her left hand held the long sleeve of her right hand, and with a blissful smile on her face she quickly wrote the book. Lin Muyu stood up and held Qin Yin's words in her hands. Blowing on the ink, she could not help but praise Qin Yin's handwriting. This semi-cursive script seemed to have the essence of Wang Shiji. In terms of calligraphy, Lin Muyu would probably never be able to match up to her in this lifetime. All right, we will see you tomorrow. Come before the sword contest. Got it. Chapter 190. After returning to the Eagle Nest camp in the afternoon, he immediately closed the gates and began forging. He still had some 10,000-year dark steel left from the Imperial Merchant Guild. Along with the Thunder Radiance Umbrella Dragon Spirit Stone, he believed that the forged weapon would not be inferior to Yu Qian's. At this time he felt a slight itch on his shoulder. The wound had already begun to scab over. The effects of the first-rank healing medicine were indeed frighteningly good. Wang. The treasure refining cauldron was brought out and began to smelt the 10,000-year dark steel. Perhaps it was due to the increase in strength, but his battle aura had become purer. In less than an hour, nearly 30 kilograms of 10,000-year dark steel had been completely melted. Strands of starlight rose from the molten iron, and under the burning of the 6th-level heavenly flame, the purity was quickly refined. Not long after, the 30 kilograms of dark steel had become around 20 kilograms. This was also what Lin Muyu wanted to see. Although Qin Yin's cultivation was not ordinary, she was still a girl. The sword she used could not be too heavy, at least not as thick and heavy as her dragon spirit sword. She took out the 10,000-year umbrella dragon spirit stone and placed it into the treasure refining cauldron. After about 2 hours, the umbrella dragon spirit rushed out from the spirit stone and howled towards Lin Muyu. Dang! The treasure refining cauldron's flame barrier quickly repelled the umbrella dragon's attack. Lin Muyu pulled out the dragon spirit sword and slashed out with a roar. Immediately, a formless aura enveloped the area, and the sword light destroyed the umbrella dragon's beast spirit. The beast spirit's power immediately surrendered and slowly sank into the molten iron. This was considered complete. Lin Muyu called out and said, "I want to forge a sword for Xiao. Help me choose a sword model that is suitable for girls, the more elegant and refined ones." Lulu chuckled. "All right. Fortunately, I brought along the weapon database when I transmigrated with you. There are many sword models. Lulu will help you select a few for you to choose from." "All right." Not long after, a series of light screens appeared in front of Lin Muyu. Lulu picked out more than a dozen elegant and exquisite sword models, and almost every one of them was very beautiful. Finally, Lin Muyu chose one of them. The blade was ordinary in width, but it was very thin. Moreover, the body of the sword was engraved with a simple flower totem, which matched the shape of the empire's purple Yinghua very well. Afterwards, Lin Muyu unfolded the handwriting of Qin Yin's name and said, "Lulu, scan the outline of these 2 words and engrave them on the blade near the hilt. Is that okay?" "A piece of cake." Lulu's light form danced in the air above the paper, and very soon the engraving of the 2 words, Qin Yin, appeared on the sword model. This sword was slowly taking shape. Lin Muyu closed her eyes and poured her spirit sense into the blade, starting to refine the compound edge. This kind of edge came from modern weapon forging techniques, but it was compatible with ancient weapon forging techniques. This was also one of the reasons why Lin Muyu's weapons were so sharp and sturdy. The dragon spirit had been tempered into a total of 10 compound edges, but perhaps because the iron and the purity of the refined soul weren't high enough, Lin Muyu couldn't continue after she had tempered 8 compound edges. However, it was still not bad. At the very least, this sword's grade was definitely far higher than the prairie fire sword. An entire afternoon was spent on this sword, and the forging was finally completed before dinner. Puchi. When Lin Muyu placed the sword into the pool, steam immediately filled the air. Lin Muyu reached into the water and fished out the sword. She smiled and said, "This sword does not have a name yet. Since little Yin's name is on the hilt, I will call it the Purple Ing sword." Lulu chuckled and said, "And a good name." Lin Muyu channeled her strength into the Purple Ing sword, and in the next moment, a golden dragon light appeared around the blade, proving that this sword had already entered the saint rank. "Congratulations, big brother. This is a 7th-tier saint rank sword," Lulu said with a smile. Lin Muyu nodded with a smile. She found a scabbard that suited her ears better from the spare scabbard in the room and sheathed it with a clang. The sound of the sword ringing lingered for a long time. It was indeed a good sword. In fact, it wasn't much inferior to Qin Jin's Desolation sword. Next was the real highlight. It was time to reforge the demonic noise saber. Drawing out the demonic noise saber from the pouch at her waist, she spread her hands and gathered her fighting chi between the blades. She controlled the demonic noise saber to form a 4-edged flying saber. This was the true form of the demonic noise saber, and it was also the form with the strongest killing power. It had an extremely strong penetrative and destructive power. However, against a true expert, the demonic noise saber would be useless. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and threw the demonic noise saber into the cauldron. He sighed inwardly. "This is the famous weapon created by the famous General Feng Yi. What will it become in my hands?" At this time Wei Chao's voice came from outside. "My lord, it's time for dinner." Would you like to come out and eat something? No need, just leave dinner for me. All right. Closing his eyes, Lin Muyu spread out his spiritual sense. He wasn't in a hurry to refine the demonic noise saber. He first sent his spiritual sense into the saber, analyzing its original design layer by layer. In the end, he discovered that the internal force of the demonic noise saber was extremely mysterious. There were layers upon layers, and the structure was actually somewhat similar to the molecular structure of a diamond. No wonder it was so sturdy. Lulu, record the original structure of the demonic noise saber. Later we will refine it according to this method. Yes, big brother. At this time Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile inwardly. Bringing Lulu along when he transmigrated was like bringing along a supercomputer. The reason why he was able to live so smoothly in Lanyan City was because of Lulu's contribution. The heavenly fire slowly lingered around the demonic noise saber. It didn't completely melt it but refined and purified it layer by layer. It turned out that the person who created the demonic noise saber definitely didn't have such exquisite craftsmanship. In terms of purity it was much inferior. Furthermore, Lin Muyu also discovered that the metal of the demonic noise saber was very mysterious. It didn't belong to the categories of dark iron, cold iron, or wrought iron. It was somewhat similar to the iron of the dragon spirit sword. It was an unknown metal brought by a meteorite from outer space, but its hardness and strength were undoubtedly strong. After about 3 hours of tempering, all the impurities in the demon noise saber had been purified. The entire demon noise saber had shrunk by almost a size. However, the blade was glowing, sharper and more nimble. At this time the crucial moment had arrived. It was time to refine the 13,400-year-old Sky Beast Spirit Stone. Lin Muyu took a deep breath. With a grave expression, she placed the Heaven Beast Spirit Stone into the crafting cauldron as if she was facing a formidable enemy. Needless to say, the beast soul backlash from this spirit stone would definitely be extraordinarily strong. In fact, Lin Muyu was already mentally prepared to fight to the death. Moreover, the heaven beast was beheaded by her in 3 slashes, so its hatred for her wasn't small. It wouldn't be easy to make this ferocious beast's soul completely submit to her. However, if she couldn't truly tame the heaven beast soul, then the plan to reforge the demonic noise saber would be considered a failure. Roar, roar. The faint roar of the heaven beast came from the spirit stone, sending a chill down Lin Muyu's spine. The heavenly fire in the crafting cauldron lingered around the spirit stone like a skirt, burning and refining it inch by inch. The heaven beast spirit stone was extraordinarily stubborn. Fortunately, Lin Muyu's battle aura had become extremely pure under the refinement of the dragon forging bone remnant scroll and was far more vigorous than cultivators of the same rank. Even so, it took her nearly 5 hours to successfully refine the spirit stone in the middle of the night. With a crackling sound, the outer layer of the spirit stone slowly peeled off under the scorching heat of the fire, revealing the golden layer of spirit energy within. It's coming. Lin Muyu's heart trembled. Sure enough, an invisible beast soul pounced toward her in a golden light. The heaven beast finally launched its counterattack. With a ping sound, it directly smashed the flame barrier of the crafting cauldron. However, Lin Muyu was already prepared. She opened her right hand and the dragon spirit sword rotated rapidly. The dragon flame spiral break pierced the abdomen of the heaven beast's beast soul. Energy collided, and the dragon spirit sword directly pierced the beast soul's abdomen. It was deeply embedded and couldn't be pulled out. However, it seemed like it couldn't completely injure or tame this unyielding beast soul. Lin Muyu turned around and took a few steps back. She shook her arms and an endless amount of dark force appeared on her arms. She punched out with both fists and shouted, "For Luminary's demon cry." Boom. The mighty 7 Luminaries' dark force almost shattered half of the heaven beast's head, but the beast was still unwilling to surrender. With a low roar, it placed its claws on Lin Muyu's shoulders and opened its bloody mouth to devour Lin Muyu's head. It's over. Am I going to die? Lin Muyu was shocked and her heart was filled with despair. At this moment time seemed to stop, but the blood in Lin Muyu's body boiled like never before. The boiling power in her blood was about to burst out. Finally, with a clear dragon roar, a 5-clawed golden true dragon covered in raging flames broke out of her body and directly hovered around Lin Muyu's body. The golden dragon opened its mouth and roared at the heaven beast with the majesty of a king. Roar, roar. The dragon's roar was like an invisible domain attack which prevented the sky beast from biting down no matter how hard it tried. The sky beast even showed a trace of fear when it saw the true dragon's constellation. It whimpered and crawled back into the crafting cauldron. Then it knelt on the ground with its claws and slowly lowered its head. It actually showed a look of subservience. Linmuyu was very pleased. Even a divine beast like the heaven beast couldn't do anything in front of a king true dragon. Was this the law of heaven and earth? The strong were respected and the weak could only submit. While feeling proud, he didn't forget to pretend to be arrogant. Evil creature, you won't know how powerful I am if I don't show my true appearance. Lulu giggled. Brother, that's enough. Hurry up and refine it. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.